October 10th, 7 a.m. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, nicknamed the Professor because he knew every technique originated from the village hidden in the leaves. As Hiruzen stares out the window, he worries about his grandson figure, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Though the child only knew of his first last name Uzumaki, very few people outside of Hiruzen knew of the child's heritage. Hiruzen was worried about Naruto because today was his birthday, and this was the day the villagers celebrated the defeat of the nine-tailed fox. On this day, the villagers would hunt down Naruto and beat him within an inch of his life, saying they were avenging the fourth. Hiruzen always had Umbu tailing Naruto, but it didn't do too much good seeing as 95% hated Naruto and actually participated. He signaled for his most trusted Umbu, and in a silent body flicker, the Umbu Captain Crow appeared on one knee. "You called Hokage-sama?" "Yes, Crow. I need you to find Naruto Uzumaki and make sure he is safe." "Hi," and with that he left just as silently as he had arrived. Hiruzen's eyes hardened as he looked out the window, though he felt better about Crow looking for Naruto since he had a soft spot for the blonde. "I hope you are alright, Naruto-kun." Time skip 4 p.m. Naruto was running from the drunken mobs who were yelling, "It's time to avenge the fourth." Naruto had just turned 9 and has had to run from mobs 3 to 5 times a week since he was 3. Naruto was 4 foot 4 inches, which was rather tall for a 9-year-old. He had long, spiky golden blonde hair that reaches his upper back, his hair usually covering half his face, think Madara only blonde. Eyes so bright a blue that they could be mistaken for the sapphires. Though he was tall, Naruto was skinny from malnutrition because of him eating scrapes from the dumpster since he was 3. Currently, Naruto was running through Training Ground 43 trying to get to Training Ground 44, the Forest of Death, since it was the only place they wouldn't chase him. Just before he makes it to the fence, a kunai pierces his right calf, making him immediately fall to the ground in pain. "Ahahahaha," came the voice of a random chunin from the who through the kunai. "Thought you could get away from us by running to the Forest of Death, huh, demon?" Naruto started sobbing from the kunai and being called a demon. "I'm not a demon. I haven't done anything wrong. I just want to be left alone," Naruto yells after continuing to sob. "Aw, the demon wants to be left alone. Well, our families wanted to be left alone. The third's wife wanted to be left alone and the fourth Hokage wanted to be left alone, but instead of leaving them alone, you killed them. So today we avenged them," shouted a random villager with a pitchfork as she stabbed Naruto in the abdomen, earning an ear-splitting cry of pain from Naruto as he passes out from the pain. For the next 15 minutes, they continued to beat Naruto with weapons in hand until they were convinced he was dead. One of the Umbu assigned to guard Naruto picks him up and speeds off through the Forest of Death until he reaches a river deep within the forest and dumps his lifeless body next to the river. The Umbu then turns to leave before one of the large animals comes out for a snack. "Good riddance, demon," spat the Umbu as he left. As soon as the Umbu left, Naruto was enveloped in red chakra, which started to heal his wounds. In Naruto's mindscape, "Man, first they nearly kill me, then they throw me in the sewer," said Naruto as he got up off the ground and started walking along the pipes of the sewer, hoping to find an exit. "I'm so sick of going through all of this simply because these ignorant assholes want me to suffer. Once I get out of here, maybe you'll go find Gigi and ask if he can help me train, so I can at least defend myself." "Why not ask me to train you? After all, I have protected you far more so than he has," came a booming voice from within the sewer. "Who said that?" replied Naruto as he did a 360 trying to find the source of the voice. "Over here, Kit." Naruto looks in front of himself to find 2 glowing red slit eyes behind a cage that has a giant piece of paper with the word "seal" on it. Something inside Naruto's head clicked. "So I finally get to meet you? I'm guessing I'm not in a sewer but in the seal on my gut." The voice was at a loss for words. "How did you know?" "I'm not as ignorant as those idiotic villagers. I know that being an entity composed entirely of chakra such as yourself, you can't be killed, and the only true way to deal with a rampaging tailed beast is to seal them inside a human, since no object is strong enough to hold that type of power. Combined with the way the villagers treat me, all you have to do is put 2 and 2 together." Wow, only 9 years old and already speaking so intelligently. If this child can get the proper training with this level of intelligence combined with the potential I'm sensing coming from him, he could not only surpass his parents but my old man as well, thought the fox. "I always wanted to thank you for healing me whenever I had gotten hurt, whether it was from the villagers' beatings or any other type of injury, but I could never figure out how to communicate with you," spoke Naruto. Well, you're here now and you're welcome. I think I should explain why I attacked the village. Naruto sat down preparing for a long story. Now can you do me a favor and hold all your questions until I have finished? Naruto nodded once in agreement. I was in my previous container's seal trying to sleep when I was ripped out of her seal by a man in a black cloak wearing a orange swirl mask with a Sharingan eye. He then placed a powerful genjutsu on me to control my actions and attack the village, but the fourth Hokage stopped him and decided to reseal me in you because in her weakened state the sealing process would have killed us both. As I was still under the effects of the genjutsu, I tried to kill you before the end of the sealing process, but my previous container and the fourth jumped in front to save you, then finished the sealing at the cost of their own lives, and the rest is history. Any questions? Who was your previous container? Asked Naruto. Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze, the Red Death of the Leaf, but you may know her as Mom, replied the fox, socking the hell out of Naruto. They sat in silence while he processed this new information and calmed himself. So my mom was the most famous Kunoichi on the elemental nations outside of Tsunade Senju, and my father was Minato Namikaze, the greatest Hokage the Leaf has ever had and the fastest shinobi on the planet. Finally, a calm Naruto said. Yep, pretty much nailed it. I always wondered why our hair and eyes looked similar, thought Naruto. Now about the training you wanted. I have a proposition for you. Link our senses together and change this place to something more hospitable. Okay, so long as I don't have to let you out. Something tells me that if I let you out, something terrible will happen to not only me and you but the village as well. Even though the villagers piss me off, there are a few people who are innocent. Besides, I don't want my first friend to be harmed. The Kyūbi chuckled at the remark, then replied, Don't worry. I actually like being in here with you. Now to link our senses, all you have to do is rip a piece of the seal off, but don't tear off too much of the seal. We don't need too much of my chakra merging with yours. Too much too fast will kill you. Naruto nodded as he stands up and moves toward the cage where the fox's tail wrapped around Naruto to lift him up to the seal, where ripped off exactly a fifth of the seal before being lowered back to the ground. Before Naruto could speak, felt his insides being expanded by a strong warm energy. I feel so warm and I feel as if my strength keeps continuously growing. I wonder why? Asked Naruto. That's my chakra expanding your chakra coils. When it's done, seeing you already have extremely high chakra, your will be roughly equal to the of the four tails. Okay, it's under control. Now how do I change this place? Close your eyes and imagine whatever it is that you want to change it to. Naruto closed his eyes and immediately a bright light erupted throughout the room, which lasted for 3 minutes until Naruto opened his eyes again. Wow, it worked! Gone was the sewer, replaced with a mountain off to the distance, a large lake right next to small forest. Just outside of the forest was a large plain of 5-foot-high grass which the Kyūbi was already enjoying. Gone were the metal bars, replaced with trees that went on forever into the new sky. Kit, this is better than anything I expected, thank you. No problem. You deserve it after all the help you have provided me with. Now how do I get out of here so I can get some necessities from GG? Just concentrate on your body and you should wake up, but first let me tell you about some changes since linking our senses. I've made your body physically fit as well as made you a little taller. With our senses linked, your senses will be just as sharp as mine. You'll be able to sense negative emotions within a 2-mile radius. Now go see the old man and get everything you need so I can come up with a training regimen. Alright, I'll see you later, said Naruto before fading away. Back in the Forest of Death. Naruto wakes up next to a river in the Forest of Death, feeling better than he ever has. As he stood up, he could feel the power in his arms and legs where he would struggle to get up before because of how weak and malnourished he was. Naruto walks to the river to get a look at his reflection in the water and was shocked at what he saw. Naruto had grown from about 4 foot 4 inches to about 4 foot 11 inches. Gone was his skinny frame, and in its place were 2 strong arms, a somewhat chiseled bare chest with a 4-pack of abs, going down to a pair of athletic-looking legs covered in a pair of tight black shorts. Wow, you made me taller and gave me a body fit for a ninja? Thanks, Kyūbi. Now I actually feel strong instead of pathetic because of my weak frame. No problem, all I did was pump chakra into your muscles to expand them as I was healing your body from the attack. Don't expect me to be able to maintain this body for you. You are going to have to train and eat right to maintain this form or improve it. This was the best result you could hope for, seeing you haven't trained and don't eat right. That's going to change right now. That's the right attitude, Kit. Oh, I want to tell you my true name, but I need you to promise not to reveal it to anyone. I promise not to reveal your name. Besides, a ninja's most dangerous weapon is deception. Exactly, but the reason I don't want you to reveal my name is because we tailed beasts use our true names as a code of trust. Only the most trustworthy has a right to know our names as well as use our full power, and I feel as though you are the most trustworthy person I have ever met. My name is Kurama. Thank you for putting your trust in me, Kurama. I promise to never betray that trust, replied Naruto as he began to walk slowly through the forest to get handle of his new senses, which he was quickly getting a hang of. After about 10 minutes of walking and getting used to his new sensing ability, Naruto felt a mass of chakra. But it felt different, almost as if it was calling out to him. Hey Kurama, do you feel that? Asked Naruto. Kit, whatever is giving off that chakra has enough of it to match me. Go see what it is because it is calling out to you, but be careful. Alright, let's hope this chakra signature isn't dangerous to me seeing as it is calling out to me, replied Naruto as he started walking a little faster towards the signature. After another 5 minutes of walking, Naruto arrives in front of a huge tree, feeling confused knowing the chakra wasn't coming from the tree. As he took a step forward, he falls through the ground. Ah! Ugh! What the hell? Said Naruto as he sat up before noticing a chest on a platform 10 feet away from him. Kit, that chest is what's giving of that chakra. Go check it out, but be careful. Naruto nodded as he walked up to the chest. As he placed a hand on the chest, it started to glow brightly before flinging itself open, producing an orb of light which was floating in front of a confused Naruto. Kurama, what should I do? Grab it, but be prepared to run just in case. Naruto reached out to touch the orb. It started shining in a bright, blinding light. Naruto's mindscape. Ugh! Kurama, did you pull me here? Naruto asked as he looked around and his eyes landed on Kurama. No, Kit, replied Kurama before he felt a presence behind Naruto. Growling. Who's there? Show yourself. Calm yourself. I'm not here to harm anyone, spoke a mysterious voice before walking out from behind a random tree. Said person was about 6 feet 2 inches with shoulder-length black hair. He wore a black t-shirt, baggy black pants, black steel-toed boots, and a high-collared black trench coat that reached his ankles. Who are you? What do you want? And how did you get here? Questioned Naruto as he took a couple of steps back into the seal to stand next to Kurama. My name is Sieg. I am here to serve my master, which is you, and I am a sentient being. Entering a plane such as this is second nature to me. Okay, I understand you being a sentient being, and all, but how is the Kit here your master? That actually goes back about 50 years, and it's quite a long story if you are willing to listen? Both Kurama and Naruto nodded. Kurama sat on his haunches on the tall lush grass and swung his tails next to himself where Naruto laid back onto. Okay, 50 years ago the leader of the dragons had a vision that an Uzumaki would, with the help of the dragons, will have the opportunity to be known as the strongest entity throughout history by destroying a personified evil that resides in this world. So he decided that every year he, along with each dragon leader of the 4 elements they control, water, wind, lightning, and fire, would put as much power into the newly forged dragon sword in order for Aid Sword to balance out a power that the chosen Uzumaki would be granted. The dragon leaders along with the head dragon put as much power as possible into the blades until 10 years ago when the leader had another vision of you being born, Naruto. He placed the swords in an orb of energy knowing only the prophesied would be able to not only locate them but wield them as well. So is that why I felt as if something was calling out to me? And what do you mean only one to wield you? Asked Naruto. Yes, you felt something calling out to you because that was me calling out to my master when I sensed him nearby. As for why only you can wield me is because anyone who tried would get warning jolt of lightning, and if they keep being persistent, which could kill even the strongest of dragons. I'm glad that I was chosen to become your master, but I don't have that kind of power. I know you're not strong enough right now, but I plan on taking you to the realm of dragons where they will train you. Kit, if what he is saying is true, you need to do it. Dragons are the strongest being next to tailed beasts. Hell, their leader could probably push me to my limit. If you think I should, alright. Okay, Sieg will go, but I need a little time to go handle some things and I need you to do me a favor. Anything you need, master. Do you have a human form outside of my mind? Yes, master. Alright, go to the center of the village and to the largest tower on the top floor, look for Hiruzen Sarutobi and explain only the need to know about the training, nothing about the dragons, yourself or Kurama here. Understood, master, replied Sieg as he disappeared from view. Back in the hole in the forest of death. In front of Naruto the light stopped shining and in front of him was a black guardless katana sword at 3.5 feet in length. Midnight black in color with a silver dragon wrapping around from the bottom of the sheath to the top of the sword's sheath. The sword floated into Naruto's hand, while a yellow energy floated out the sword and transformed into Sieg. Okay, Sieg, can you get us out of this hole, so we can get back to the village? Yes, master. 20 minutes later, just outside the training grounds. The large tower in the middle of the village is where the Hokage should be, but Sieg, remember, need to know basis. Yes, master. If you need me, you can communicate to me through a mental link just like you do with Kurama, replied Sieg. Okay. Oh, don't reveal Kurama's name to anyone. That's something he doesn't want revealed and I won't allow it to be revealed. Yes, master, I'll be on my way now, replied Sieg as he bowed and started towards the tower. 10 minutes later. Naruto was headed down a random alley to not be caught by the villagers on his way to see the Ichirakus and let them know that he was going to be gone for a few years, seeing as they were some of the only people who were nice to him. As he was about to turn down another alley to get to the ramen stand, Naruto heard the sound of someone yelling. Get back here, bitch, yelled 3 ninja who looked to be in their late 20s. Curious as to why they were yelling, Naruto to stealthily follow them. After about 10 minutes of chase, they ended up in a dead-end alley. Naruto, in an alley right next to them, decided to climb on top of the building to see what was going on, but what he saw pissed him off past the point of no return. 2 of the 3 men were holding down a girl no older than 13 years old, while the other started to unbutton his pants. You should be glad that we are willing to fuck you after all. Who would want a whore like you? Said the leader as he started walking towards the helpless girl. Kid, don't let them do it. This is the most evil thing you humans do to each other, and you call me a demon. I don't plan to, and whatever that is down there isn't human, thought Naruto in extreme anger, as he jumped in front of the man before he could get any closer to the girl, and middle-kicked the man in the stomach, sending him back about 10 feet. Then, as the other 2 tried to attack Naruto from behind, but with his heightened senses, he felt them coming, a back flipped over them, and immediately unsheathed his sword, revealing a 3.5-foot black blade with, in silver kanji, was fire, lightning, water and wind going down the blade. As the rapist was getting up, he saw Naruto pointing his sword at the 2 men. Leave now before I kill you where you stand, spoke Naruto in a demonic voice. If it's one thing that wouldn't stand for, it would be rape. Naruto's voice sent chills down their spines, but they shook it off, not wanting the child to know they were scared of him. Kid, if you don't want to get hurt, I suggest you leave. Just because you are a child doesn't mean we won't kill you, spoke the rapist from 10 feet away. If you take one step forward, I really will kill you, spoke Naruto with his one visible eye unwavering. With a victim, I would be justified in killing you 3. Hell, I might even get a reward for expunging trash such as yourselves from the village. The 2 in front of Naruto started backing up, believing that he might just have the skill to actually kill them. Hey, I'm out. I don't need this mess just for a piece of ass from the snake whore. Me too. I have a wife and 2 kids at home. I don't need them finding out about this, spoke the 2 as they walked past the rapist. Cowards. I'll handle this myself, said the rapist as he took out a kunai, but before he even took a step, he noticed the look in Naruto's lone visible eye which made him question his very existence. You know what? That whore isn't even worth it. You can have her, there are plenty of women I'd rather fuck anyway, spoke the rapist as he walked away, not wanting Naruto to know just how scared of him he truly was. Once he was gone, Naruto placed his sword back in the sheath before turning around to see if she was all right. When he turned around, she was already standing, dusting herself off. The first thing Naruto noticed was how beautiful she was. She had smooth skin, not a blemish in sight, beautiful chocolate eyes, very kissable pink lips, long spiky purple hair done into a fan-style ponytail. She was wearing a black shirt which did nothing to hide her still-growing B-cup breasts, a pair of tight white shorts that insinuated her still-growing body, a pair of knee-length black socks that made her legs look even longer, and a pair of black ninja sandals. Breaking from his observation, he finally spoke. Are you okay? Oh, yes, thank you for the help. Usually Nai-chan is with me, so they don't bother me, but she is on a mission now. By the way, I'm Anko Mitarashi. Spoke as she extended her hand. Naruto took her hand and placed a small kiss on the back of it. Well, Anko-chan, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. You don't have to thank me, I would have done so for any woman. Women are flowers meant to be preserved, not manhandled for some momentary pleasure, said Naruto as he had to look up at the now blushing girl, seeing as she was about 4 inches taller than him. After Naruto released her hand, she smirked at him devilishly as she took a step forward and took her index finger and ran it from his chest to his hair to move it out of the way so she could see his face. Look, this handsome little sweet devil. Keep talking like that and maybe I'll make you my boyfriend when you get older, though I am not sure if you're strong enough, said Anko, thinking her teasing would make him blush. All right, you seem nice enough and you are extremely beautiful. If you'll have me, I'd be honored to be your boyfriend, spoke Naruto seriously with a genuine smile plastered across his face. He thought I was serious. I don't want to hurt his feeling. Buet, what the heck, he looks like when grows up he'll have no competition in the looks department. Okay, if you promise me you will grow up to become strong, I see no problem reserving the spot as my future boyfriend for you. All right, I'll promise to be strong only if you promise me something. She raised an eyebrow at that. And what is that? Don't become any more beautiful. I don't want to have to kill half the men in the village, so they keep their eyes and hands to themselves. Anko chuckles as she pulls Naruto into a tight hug, smashing his face into her still developing breasts. You're just so cute, you know that? But I can't promise you that because I plan on becoming the sexiest woman in the elemental nations, but I can promise to wait for you, come claim me. Okay, it's a promise then, said Naruto before Anko lifted his chin and gave him an innocent kiss on the lips, then said, deal. Anko-chan, I'm going to be leaving the village to train for about 6 years to start my training. So I won't be able to see you during that time period, but I will keep my promise, spoke a blushing Naruto. Why do you have to leave the village? Why not just go to the academy like everybody else, replied a confused Anko. Because I'm pretty much hated in the village for something out of my control, and would probably be sabotaged from day one in the academy. Oh, I know how you feel because of my old teacher turning rogue and this seal on me that no one seems to be able to break, like I have any control over what happened, said Anko as she pulled down the collar of her shirt to reveal the mark. Kid, I have seen that seal before. It corrupts the mind with a false belief of power and loyalty to the caster, but don't worry, that marking around it keeps the seal from being anything other than a mark. Anko-chan says no one has been able to remove it. You wouldn't happen to know how to, would you? Yes, I do, but you have to have a massive amount of chakra, which you do, really good chakra control and advanced understanding of sealing jutsu, which, seeing as who your parents are, you should take to like a fish to water. So instead of telling her that you can remove it, just tell your mate you will have a surprise for her upon your return. Naruto smiled at this, knowing he would be able to help Anko out. Hey, Anko-chan, if you truly make good on our deal, I will have a surprise for you once I return. Oh, a surprise. What is it? Anko asked excitedly. I can't tell you, otherwise it won't be a surprise. All right, you just make sure it's something good. Well, I should be getting home, I have a mission tomorrow, said Anko before she leaned down and kissed Naruto once more. Remember, if you make good on our deal, you can get that every day, nah. Are you? Too. Kuin whispering sweetly in Naruto's ear. See you in 6 years, and don't forget my surprise, I'll be waiting for it, as she walked out of the alley. Okay, let's go see Aji-san and Nei-chan before I have to leave. Naruto spoke to himself as he prepared to leave, until he felt a hand on his shoulder, forcing him to turn around. Going somewhere, Naruto-kun? Kuronai-san? Naruto asked as the black-haired Umbu nodded, making Naruto hug the Umbu around his waist. The crow-masked Umbu wrapped one arm around Naruto as he used the other to ruffle his hair. Where were you, Naruto-kun? I have been looking for you for over 2 years now. The Umbu asked as looked down at the blonde who was still hugging him. I was kicked out of the orphanage almost 3 years ago, Naruto told him while trying to hold back tears, though the pain was evident in his voice. Why didn't you look for me or go to Hokage-sama? Naruto just gripped onto the Umbu a little harder. I didn't want to be a burden. Neither me or Hokage-sama have ever thought of you as a burden, so if we don't think of you as one, I need you not to think of yourself in that light either, okay? The blonde nodded while still holding on to the Umbu. Now, why don't we go see Hokage-sama? Naruto shook his head no. Why not? Naruto mumbled under his breath. What was that? Because I am leaving and I don't want him to stop me. What do you mean you're leaving? You're 9 years old. I have to. The people of this village will end my life if I don't. You and Gigi can only do so much to protect me, Naruto said as he stepped back from the Umbu while looking him in the eye with a serious expression. But where will you go? I can't tell you that, but I know it's the best thing for me. The Umbu side. All right? Just promise you will be safe. I promise. All right, since this seems to be what you think is best for you. He leaned down after removing his mask, revealing his handsome face. He had onyx eyes under which were long, pronounced tear troughs. He had jet black hair that was pulled back in a low ponytail and his face was framed with center-parted bangs that extended to his chin. But remember, this Itachi Uchiha is always on your side. He poked Naruto in the forehead with his index and middle fingers, making Naruto flinch. Ow, when he looked up, Itachi was gone. Thank you and goodbye, Itachi and I. The blonde spoke to himself as he left the ally. 1 hour later. After a long lecture from Iam and a long hug goodbye, Naruto was on his way back to the training grounds to meet up with Sieg. Hey Sieg, how did he take it? He didn't get too angry, did he? No master, he didn't get angry at all. He was actually happy because he didn't think he would be able to find a competent teacher willing to teach you. He also gave me some things left to you by your parents. I sealed everything in this scroll. You can go through everything after we meet with the dragon leader, replied Sieg as he tossed Naruto the scroll, then outstretched his hand in which a large purple portal opened in front of said hand. After you, master, said Sieg as Naruto walks through the portal with Sieg in tow. Dragon Realm. The dragon's realm was a mountain terrain, and in the center there was a large city buildings made of stone. In the sky there were dragons flying all over, all which looked as if they were the size of Kurama himself. Towards the east of the city was a large ocean. To say Naruto was flabbergasted would be an understatement. Wow, it's so beautiful. I'm sure the dragons appreciate your praise of their home. For now, let's go meet with the leader, master, retorted Sieg. 15 minutes later, they were standing in front of stone double doors, each door being 10 feet high and 7 foot wide. Sieg opened the doors, and the first thing Naruto noticed was the size of the room, which was the size of a tenth of the leaf. In the center of the room was a large man standing at about 8 feet, dressed in black. He had long, straight black hair. He had charcoal black eyes, a cross-shaped tattoo under his eye, and a set of large black wings on his back. He had 2 people standing on each side him. They looked exactly like him, only they didn't have the tattoo, and their cloths, hair, eyes, and wings matched the color for their element. Red for fire, royal blue for lightning, baby blue for water, and white for wind. We were expecting you. I see you have finally found your master, Sieg, spoke towering black-haired man. Yes, after all those years of waiting, he finally found me, spoke Sieg. And what would your name be, young master? Asked the black dragon leader. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, replied Naruto as he bowed towards the dragons in human form. Nice to meet you, Naruto-sama. We are the leaders of the elemental dragons. This one to my right is Haja, leader of the wind dragons. To the right of him, that is Julius, leader of the lightning dragons. To my left is Burial, leader of the water dragons. To his left is Crimson, leader of the fire dragons, and I am Jagun, leader of all dragons, as well as the only dragon capable of using all 4 elements. It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto-sama, as they all spoke in union. Naruto-sama, as our master, you are going to need to sign our summoning contract, spoke Jagun, as he kneeled down in front of Naruto and opened the scroll for him to sign. How do I sign it? Asked Naruto, looking for something to write with. Jagun pulled out a small knife and handed it to Naruto. Just cut your finger and write your name in blood. Naruto nodded and signed the contract. This moss made the dragon leaders happy, since they haven't had a summoner since the Uzumaki clan was wiped out. I want you to know I only plan on training here for 6 years before I return to my village, but I will return periodically after my 6 years of training is up, spoke Naruto. If you don't mind my asking, why only 6 years? Asked Jagun. Because of a promise I made to someone, and I don't want them waiting any longer than absolutely necessary, so I want you to push me past my limit to make me as strong as inhumanly possible, said Naruto with a flare of determination. which shocked them never before meeting a human this determined. "If that's your wish, we will oblige." They all spoke in union once again. "We can begin tomorrow," Yoruchi called Rinnegan as the doors opened to reveal a purple-haired, dark-skinned teenage beauty, wearing a tight-fitting black dress showing off her budding womanly curves. "You called Rinnegan-sama," replied Yoruchi. "Yes, show the young master here to the master bedroom, and make sure he gets something to eat, and Naruto-sama, we will make a training regime for you tomorrow." "Yes, and thank you. Sieg, you can turn back into your sword form." "Yes, master," replied Sieg as he turned back into the yellow energy and returned to the sword Naruto's hand. Naruto bowed before following Yoruchi to his room. They arrived at a pair of large oak with double doors. Yoruchi opened the doors, presenting the room to Naruto. The room was large. There was a king-sized bed with a ceiling, 2 oak wood dressers, a sliding glass door leading to a balcony which was covered in white silk curtains. The door next to the bed leads to a fully equipped walk-in closet, and the door across from here leads to the master bathroom. "Why don't find some clothes and get cleaned up while I go get you something to eat? Is there anything specific you would like me to bring? If you can, sushi would be nice." "Okay, Naruto-sama, I shall return," spoke as she left the room. Naruto, thinking that a shower sounded great since he only ever bathed in a river in the forest of death. Naruto looks through the dressers, only finding socks and underclothes, so walks into the closet and sees nothing but high-class suits. "Isn't there anything normal in here?" "Ah, here we go," spoke Naruto as he found a pair of black cargo shorts and a plain white t-shirt. Naruto walks into the most beautiful bathroom he ever dreamed possible. Marble tile floors, a glass door shower, marble sink, golden shower head and faucet. Shaking his thoughts on the beauty of the bathroom, he hops in the shower to get of the dirt and grime off his body. While in the shower, he grabs a bottle of shampoo and washes his hair as well. Naruto gets out of the shower and puts on his boxers and black cargo shorts, deciding to leave the shirt off until he finds a blow dryer to dry his hair. "They have everything but a blow dryer," said Naruto as he went through the bathroom's linen closet. "Naruto-sama, I have your dinner. Is there anything else you require?" spoke Yoruchi from outside the bathroom. "Actually, there is. I need a blow dryer for my hair. There wouldn't happen to be one in here, would there?" "Yes, there is one at the top of the closet. Would you like me to help you with your hair?" "Yes, if you don't mind," said Naruto as Yoruchi walks into the bathroom and grabs the blow dryer, then ushers Naruto to a chair located in front of a dresser with a mirror attachment. As Yoruchi stated drying Naruto's hair, he decided to ask her something that's been on his mind. "Hey Yoruchi, can I ask you a question?" "Sure, Naruto-sama." "Okay, first of all, could you not refer to me as Sama? I'm not really one for formalities, especially seeing as you are older than me." Yoruchi smiled at the remark. She agreed with Naruto. She only used horrifics because of Rinnegan. "Sure, Naruto-kun. Don't take this the wrong way, but are you a dragon as well? I wanted to ask because you don't seem to give of the same aura the other dragons do, nor do you have wings like the others." This made Reina chuckle. "No, Naruto-kun, I am not. During one of Master Rinnegan's visits outside, he found me abandoned as an infant and has raised me to serve you once you were found. You know I don't really need a servant, but how about we change the role he wanted you to play in my life slightly? What do you have in mind, Naruto-kun?" "I grew up shunned, so I'd much rather have a beautiful older sister than I would a servant. What do you say?" Yoruchi stopped drying his hair and hugged him from behind and placed a small kiss on his cheek, which made him flush bright red. "I'd love to have a cute little brother." "Thank you, Naruto-kun," spoke a happy Yoruchi as she rubbed her cheek against Naruto's. Not that I don't like the attention, Nei-chan, can you finish drying my hair, please?" "No problem, little bro." 30 minutes later, after the newly formed brother and sister finished with Naruto's grooming and dinner, Yoruchi left Naruto alone to rest up. "Master, are you going to go through your inheritance? It would be wise to do it tonight so you can have an idea of what you want to add to your regimen to maximize the training." Sieg from inside Naruto's mind. "Thank you, Sieg, I almost forgot about the scroll," replied Naruto as he grabbed the scroll out of his previous pair of pants. Naruto unraveled the scroll, then laid it on the bed before channeling a little chakra into said scroll, which produced 3 small scrolls and 2 large scrolls. Master the first of the small scrolls is from the Hokage, the other two are from your parents. The bigger scrolls are the jutsu libraries from the Uzumaki and Namikaze families respectively. Thanks Sieg, I guess I'll start with this one, said Naruto as he reached for a scroll. Naruto opens the first scroll, which was written by Hiruzen. Dear Naruto. Naruto, first and foremost, I want to apologize to you for hiding your heritage from you. I'm not asking for forgiveness, only understanding. Your father asked that your heritage be hidden from you until you were strong enough because of the number of enemies he and your mother had accumulated over their time as ninjas. I agreed to let Sieg train you because I believe you would have been hindered in your training, and Sieg had a look of determination to make you strong. To help with your training, I left a seal at the end of the letter with 2 jutsus you would make useful with your large chakra reserves, the Shadow Clone Jutsu and the Exploding Clone Jutsu. I believe these will help you more than you know, and with your large chakra you could maximize their potential. Be safe, I expect you to come back. Shattering my expectation of you, and I am setting the bar extremely high. I have also left you history books, etiquette for ninja, and books on ninja basics. Hiruzen Sarutobi. Thrid Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves. Thank you, grandfather, I intend to surpass you and all my predecessors. Just wait, I'll ensure you have a peaceful retirement. Naruto unsealed a huge stack of books and placed them on the dresser to read later. He then grabs the small scroll which contains the Namia's clan symbol of an eagle on it and opened it. To my son, Naruto. As I sit here knowing that I have to leave my newborn son alone without a mother's love or a father's guidance, I am filled with grief and sorrow, but I know this is something that must be done. I don't know if you will hate me or not, but please know that there was no other way to stop the Kyūbi other than to seal him within you, my son. Though it will cost me my soul, it is my duty to protect my home, but infinitely more so as I wanted to protect the village, I wanted to protect my son, even if I have to place this burden on you. I want you to know I have informed Sarutobi that I want you to be seen as a hero, but I have taken precautionary steps in case they do the opposite and treat you like the host of the One-Tails in the Sand Village. I have decided to activate the Namiki bloodline within you earlier than it ever has been. Usually it's activated after the child has access to its chakra, but since we Namikes have kept this bloodline secret, as in no one will know how to. Inside the Namike scroll will explain the bloodline. I hope you never give up, Naruto. I hope that no matter how hard things get, you will always have a smile on your face and see the light in the darkness. I also hope that you will forgive me for what I have done to you, for I have placed the village above my own flesh and blood. I pray to the gods that I have made the right decision, and whatever pain and suffering you endure will be worth it to you in the end. Minato Namikaze, 4th Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. The Yellow Flash. And greatest title of them all, your father. At the end of the letter, Naruto could no longer hold back his tears as he thought about how much his father loved him and just how much Naruto wanted to make his father proud of him. Dad, if it's one thing you can rest easy on is that I do not hate you. All I wanted was to know you loved me, and now a fraction of your love was even more than I could have hoped for. Kit, are you going to be all right? Yes. It's just that even in my wildest dreams, did I think someone could love me this much. Kit, I don't even think I could grasp the love they had for you. Watching how happy they were when Kushina found out she was pregnant. I have never seen 2 happier people throughout my existence. Were they really that happy when they found out? More than happy, they were ecstatic. If you read your mother's letter, I think you might understand a little more. Naruto nods and grabs a small scroll with the Uzumaki clan symbol and begins to read. My darling Naruto. If you are reading this, then I am dead, succeeding in helping your father seal the Kyūbi into you. I tried to reason with him, Naruto. I tried to get him to reseal him back into me, or at least let me use the demon-consuming seal, but he can be such a damn idealist at times. I think he wants to believe there is good in the villagers, even if he knows it's a lie. Yes, I know what they call me behind my back, demon whore. Was it? Was the blood I spilled for them not enough? Is the village truly so hopeless that they cannot find it within themselves to be happy and supporting of others? If anything, my son, believe that I know what you are going through. This has probably never been told to you, but you are not the first host of the Kyūbi. You are actually the 3rd and my successor, Jinchuriki. I am so sorry that this had to happen, my darling. If it weren't for that ninja, I would still be alive. Raising you along with your father and the Kyūbi would have been inside me until I was well into my years surrounded by my grandchildren. My son, I didn't want to leave you helpless, but our bloodline, the Rinnegan, can only be activated when we are strong enough. As I can't activate your bloodline now, as in the strain of it will kill you. Tell the Kyūbi that as a last favor from me to activate your bloodline for me. Above all else, my Naruto, remember that I do love you no matter what choices you make. You are the son that I have carried, and every day was a blessing as I felt you grow. I have no doubts that you will make me proud, whether you are a child prodigy or the village pariah. Take care, O child of mine. Spread your wings and fly as high as you can. Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto had started crying harder than he has ever cried. As he cried, he had only one question on his mind: why? Yaruchi, hearing Naruto cry, decided to see what was wrong with her new brother. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? As Yaruchi was trying to comfort Naruto, Sieg took his human form to explain the situation to Yaruchi, knowing Naruto wouldn't be able to. Master has read letters left to him by his parents, and it seems to be too overwhelming to know how much his parents really loved him. So that's what it is, thought Yaruchi, as she climbed into the bed to pull Naruto into a comforting hug. I'll take it from here, Sieg, said Yaruchi as Sieg returned to his sword form, leaning against the far end wall. It will be all right, Naruto. I know tea is a lot to take in, but I am here for you and I won't leave you, said Yaruchi as he pushed Naruto into her soft but still developing breasts and stroked his long golden locks. Hearing this makes Naruto cry even harder before wrapping his arms around Yaruchi's waist. Yaruchi smiles down at Naruto before she asks, "Would you like me to sleep with you tonight, Naruto-kun?" Unable to find his voice, he just nods between her breasts. Okay, let me up so I can change out of this dress and I will be right back, alright? Naruto lets Yaruchi up as she leaves to change. Then Naruto hears Kurama in his head. I know, Kit. Let it out and let Yaruchi help you. You don't have to say anything, we can talk about the contents of the letter tomorrow, just let your sister help you tonight. Without a word, Naruto gets up and places the scrolls and books on the dresser, then puts on his shirt to get ready for bed. As he finished, Yaruchi walks in wearing a white button-down shirt and black spats. Yaruchi climbs into the bed and ushers Naruto to do the same and returns to his previous position of his head between her breasts and arms wrapped around her waist. Yaruchi smiles and leans down to place a kiss on his forehead. May you have nothing but sweet dreams. I will be here for you and I love you, Naruto-kun. Thank you for being here and I love you to Wani-chan, replied Naruto as they both drifted off to sleep. 7 a.m. the next morning. The sun shone in through the large window, illuminating the entire room and disturbing the sleeping siblings. As the young blonde turned his head, he felt what he would describe as two big marshmallows. Naruto startled himself and hopped to the other side of the bed. Man, I forgot Yaruchi slept with me. I'm going to have to get used to human contact as I sleep. Kit, are you okay now? Yeah. What Yaruchi did for me last night really helped me get a handle on my emotions. Well, I'm glad she seems to really care for you. That Anko girl might have a little competition, huh, Kit? That got a light blush out of Naruto. Hey, you know Yaruchi is nothing but a sister to me, so quit teasing me. Ahahaha. Sorry, Kid, it's just really fun to mess with you, though I am glad you are feeling better. Now, in reference to your mother's letter about the Rinnegan, I had already planned on giving it to you, but not until you have decent chakra control and Chunin level taijutsu. I see no problem with that. Beside, I will worry about that later. I need to go through the Uzumaki and Namikaze libraries, so I can maximize these 6 years of training. Just as Naruto finished his conversation with Kurama, Yaruchi woke up to see Naruto sitting on the opposite side of the bed, lost in thought. Naruto-kun, are you all right? Huh? Oh. Yeah, I was just thinking about the training I'm going to be starting pretty soon. Yaruchi pulls Naruto over to her to have him sitting in her lap with her chin rested on his head and arms wrapped around his chest. Are you nervous, Naruto-kun? No. Not nervous, just thinking about the things my parents left me that they want me to train myself in. Don't worry about it, I'm sure you will be able to learn everything your parents left for you and make them proud. After all, there is nothing the child of prophecy and my little brother can't do, spoke a smiling Yoruchi. Now why don't I go and get you some breakfast while you finish up before you have to meet with Jaegun and the others a little later this morning? Thank you, I'd really like that, Nei-chan, replied Naruto as Yoruchi got up and left the room. Naruto was next to get out of bed as he walked over to the dresser and grabbed the 2 giant scrolls and sat back on the bed with the 2 scrolls in front of him. Naruto decides to go through the Namikaze scroll first. He bites his thumb, drawing a little blood, and swipes it across the Namikaze clan symbol, then channels some chakra into the scroll to unlock it. As Naruto unraveled the scroll, he noticed 7 seals with a description under each scroll. Under the first seal was Taijutsu, under the second was Bloodline, third was Lightning, fourth was Wind, fifth was Rinnegan, sixth was Sealing, and last was Flying Thunder God. Let me read through the Bloodline first to see how it should be trained, thought Naruto out loud, as he released the seal which produced a scroll entitled Namikaze Bloodline. The Namikaze Bloodline. The Namikaze Bloodline consists of 3 parts. The first part of the Bloodline is the ability to see fast-moving objects. It's an ability similar to the Uchiha Sharingan but without the ability to steal jutsu. The second part of the Bloodline is increased intelligence provided by photographic memory. The third part of the Bloodline is lightning chakra running through our system, which make the Namikaze the fastest clan known to the elemental nations. Naruto, if you are reading this, then that means Sarutobi has given you your inheritance. Your Bloodline is already active. I place a small seal on your forehead to prevent you from using the abilities until you are ready. Now simply channel a small amount of chakra into your finger and place it above your left eye, same as you would to open a simple storage scroll, and that will break the seal and allow your Namikaze abilities to return to you. Naruto wordlessly did as the scroll says and used what little control of his chakra he had and channeled chakra into his index finger, then moved his hair out of the way to apply said chakra to the area above his left eye. As soon as Naruto broke the seal, all hell broke loose as he started producing enough lightning chakra to put the Raikage's lightning armor to shame. What hell? The scroll didn't say anything about this. Kit, calm down, I think, because the seal held your power back for so long. The lightning chakra just kept getting stronger and stronger until now when you released it. So what now? Do you think there are any side effects that could handicap me later? No, Kit. Quite the opposite. From what I am sensing, the seal has actually improved your bloodline. How so, Kurama? Well, from what I can tell, the amount of lightning chakra you are able to control alone is going to make you legendary, and there seems to have been an improvement in the speed you are going to be capable of using, as well as an improvement to your ability to see fast-moving objects. Wait for the lightning to settle down and you shall be able to feel the improvements yourself. As if on cue, after the lightning settled, Naruto started feeling the effect of his bloodline. He felt so fast, as if he could run from the forest of death to the Hokage town in a literal blink of an eye. Because of his vision, time felt as if it had slowed, so Naruto spent the next couple of minutes getting used to his newly activated bloodline. Okay, that's better, I am getting used to it now, said Naruto as sat back on the bed and decided to unseal the seals portion of the main scroll, which produced 10 books which looked to be about 500 or more pages long each, and each book had a level to them such as Level 1, Level 2, and ECT. Kit, those are books on sealing. Level 1 is for beginners who want to learn sealing and Level 10 is for seal masters. Okay. Need to make it a priority to read these whenever I am not physically training, seeing as sealing is the more complicated of the ninja arts. Ha! Kit, sealing runs in your blood. I wouldn't be surprised if you took more to seals better than you do ninjutsu. Maybe, Kurama, but I don't want to underestimate any of the training I plan on putting myself through, because underestimation can be the key to life and death. Well said, Kit. With an attitude like that, you are on the right path to surpassing your parents. Naruto just smiled at the compliment and started to go through the Uzumaki library. He repeated the process, swiped some blood across the seal and channeled chakra until the scroll unlocked. Similar to the previous scroll, it has 5 seals with a description underneath. First was Taijutsu, second was Kenjutsu, third was fire, fourth was water, and last was sealing. Naruto broke the last seal and 5 books appeared that had level 11 to 15 on them. Hey, Kurama, I thought there were only 10 levels to sealing. No, in actuality there are 15, it's just only truly elite Uzumaki seem to be able to even begin to understand the final 5 levels of sealing. So it's only been known for elite Uzumaki to go past level 10. Interesting. Kid, I know what you are thinking. Leave the final 5 levels for when you get back to the village because those seals are going to be time-consuming. Time we don't have. Every second is precious. You're right. Besides, I need to read the books the old man left me before I can even get started on sealing. Knock, knock. Come in. In walks Yoruchi wearing a red version of the black dress she had on previously, pushing a cart full of food. I hope I didn't interrupt your reading, Naruto. Not at all. What's for breakfast, sis? Yoruchi lifts the plate cover to reveal 2 pancakes, 2 sausage links, 2 strips of bacon, scrambled eggs, and a tall glass of orange juice. Enjoy, Naruto. I would have eaten with you, but Jegun has some things he needs me to take care of, spoke Yoruchi as she headed for the door. Oh, Jegun and the others say they will meet with you at noon. All right, I ready then. Okay, see you later, Naruto, as she left. Time skip 11:45 a.m. During the time while Naruto waited for the noon meeting, he finished all the books on history and ninja etiquette. Sarutobi left him as well as started reading the ninja basics. Knock, knock. Come in. As Yoruchi came in, she noticed Naruto sitting on the bed with books and scrolls scattered all across the bed. Naruto, did you read all those scrolls and books? Yeah, except these last 2 books on ninja basics. I already knew Naruto was intelligent, but to read all those books in just over 4 hours makes me wonder just how smart he will be by the time he finishes his training. Naruto, it is almost time for the meeting, so why don't you go put on some clothes so I can escort you there? Sure, spoke Naruto as he hopped off the bed and followed Yoruchi into the walk-in closet. Yoruchi pulled out black umbu pants, a black t-shirt, a white button-down shirt, and black ninja sandals. After Naruto got dressed and grabbed his sword, they found themselves inside of the dragon leader's chambers. Ah, Naruto-sama, have you gotten acclimated to your new surroundings? Asked Jegun. Yes, Yoruchi-chan has helped me tremendously. That's nice to hear, but on to business. We have decided on your training schedule, spoke Crimson. That's okay, but I might have added some additional things I want to be trained in, as well as a couple of things that I need to ask of you all. That is fine, Naruto-sama, but I need to explain some things before we get into your training regime, Jigen said, making Naruto nod his head in a silent agreement. Now, as you have been chosen by Sieg, multiple things will happen to your body. First, your body will develop its own pool of energy that we use called mana. Second, each dragon master here, with the exception of me, holds an ancient spirit that they will each give to Sieg, who will then slowly pass on to you. They will grant you powers and techniques that only you will be able to use. And then there are these, he informed Naruto while holding up 2 black gauntlets with a diamond-like crystal embedded in the center of each gauntlet. These gauntlets will be the tools that helps you master Senjutsu, but only once your body is fully ready, but we need you to wear them as much as possible. They will attune to your body to help you in the future, Jegun said as he handed Naruto the gauntlets. As he put them on, the diamonds glowed, making the gauntlets shrink to fit his body, and just like with Sieg, he could sense some of its power, but he put it to the back of his mind as he turned his attention back to the Dragon Masters. How are you going to help me with anything chakra related if you yourselves don't use it? Naruto asked the 5 Dragon Masters. We are able to use our mana as a medium and convert our mana into chakra, something we have done for over 100 years, giving us complete understanding of how chakra works. Naruto again nodded his head in understanding. Now, as for your training regime, it shall break down like this. I shall be in charge of your physical fitness. I'll also teach you the basics of our taijutsu and kenjutsu styles, the dance of the dragon, as well as mana and chakra control, spoke Jegun. I will teach you the taijutsu and kenjutsu styles, the dance of the scorching dragon and control of fire chakra and mana, spoke Crimson. I will teach you taijutsu and kenjutsu styles, the dance of the flowing dragon, control of water chakra and mana, spoke Burial. I will teach you taijutsu and kenjutsu styles, the dance of the slicing dragon and control of wind chakra and mana, spoke Haja. I will teach you taijutsu and kenjutsu style, the dance of the surging dragon and control of lighting chakra and mana, spoke Julius. That covers most of what I need to learn, as I can teach myself ninjutsu after I learn control of elemental chakra. I need someone to help me learn sealing techniques, if any one of you is a seal master, that is, spoke Naruto. Out of all the dragons, I am the only seal master and I will be glad to help you learn sealing, spoke Rinnegan. Lastly, I need you guys to set up spy networks in every village and I want monthly reports of what's going on in each village, said Naruto in a serious tone. No problem, we shall have spies in every village within the week. As the day is still young before we get started on your training to push you past your limit as you requested, we need you to hold out, Rinnegan said, to which Naruto complied. 4 of the dragon masters formed a squared circle around him while they held out a hand as orbs of glowing energy formed. Julius held in glowing pink orb, Haja held in glowing yellow orb, Burial held in glowing light blue orb, and Crimson held in glowing black reddish orb. The orbs left the dragon's hands flying and circling around Naruto before shooting into the sword. The sword glowed a faint white before the light died down. I can feel the power just rolling off of Sieg in waves. Now I believe we can get started, but we must warn you. We will break you over and over, Rinnegan spoke. I expect nothing less. So shall we, replied a smiling Naruto. Time skip 5 years. In the dragon realm, there were dragons flying over the mountains except in one area where there was a lethal amount of lightning being produced. This production of lightning wasn't coming from the sky but the Jinchuriki to the 9-tailed demon fox Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. As the lightning cleared, it revealed in 14-year-old Naruto standing at 5 feet 10 inches. He was shirtless, showing off a chest that made ninja in the best shape jealous. He was wearing black ninja sandals, umbu-style pants with black tape wrapped around the ankles and black gauntlets around his forearms. His hair still made him look like a golden blonde Madara. His hair now reached the middle of his back. His face had taken a more angular shape like his father. He had 3 whisker marks on each cheek. The biggest difference Naruto had since the beginning of his training was his eyes, which were now a solid base color of sapphire with a ripple-like pattern. Yes, this was the Rinnegan. Over the past 5 years, Naruto's growth had been astonishing. He was already a seal master. He mastered all 5 basic elemental chakra natures along with the sub-elements. He became extremely proficient in taijutsu with a multitude of styles. His chakra control was far better than one would assume considering his reserves, but because of that he couldn't perform genjutsu very well, but genjutsu was ineffective on him. His mana pool nearly rivaled his chakra, but he had trouble controlling it. Times, he even learned that the spirits gave him additional source of power that fueled a set of skills called Kido. Well done, Naruto-sama, you have now become a lightning dragon master, as I have nothing left to teach you, spoke Julius. Thank you, Julius-sensei. I never thought I would finish my training with you all as soon as I did. But that only means I have a year to perfect my father's Thunder God technique and get a better handle of my Rinnegan abilities, replied Naruto. Walked over to pick up his swords. Your use of the Shadow Clone Jutsu sped your training along faster than I thought possible. I know. I am really going to have to thank my grandfather for giving me the scroll for that jutsu. As Naruto looked up, a small light blue dragon, known as a water dragon, which was about 3 feet in length, the dragon looked like a blue limb-less alligator with wings. The incoming dragon wrapped around Naruto's neck as Naruto petted him on his head, while the dragon leaned into his hand. How are you doing today, Naruto-sama? Spoke the small dragon. I am doing great. Finally finished their training. Do you have something for me today, Bis? Yes, Yoruichi received the monthly report from your spy network and sent me to get you to go over the report. All right, Julius-sensei, as you can see I must go, and thanks again for training me, spoke Naruto as he bowed to his sensei before disappearing in a yellow flash. If he learns how to use that in battle with the skills he already has, then Lord help whoever makes an enemy out of Naruto-sama. In Naruto's room, Yoruichi was sitting at a desk in Naruto's room going through the monthly reports. She had really matured over the past 5 years, going from a budding 14-year-old girl to a beautiful, sexy 19-year-old woman. She was now standing at 5 feet 6 inches. She had filled out as a woman with her curves. Her breasts grew from B cups to mid D cups. Her body was toned from her own training. She had plump thighs and an ass that begged to be smacked. Naruto appeared in a yellow flash next to the desk where there was a Hiraishin kunai located. What have I told you about doing that, Naruto? You aren't going to be satisfied until I die of a heart attack, are you? Said Yoruichi while clutching at her heart. This earned a chuckle from Naruto as he walked over and hugged his sister. You know I love you too much to see you hurt. Besides, I didn't know you were sitting at the desk, and this is the easiest way to travel, right, Bis? Asked Naruto. Bis started to rub his cheek up against Yaruchi's cheek. Don't be mad at Naruto-sama, he is right. It helps when you can travel any amount of distance in the blink of an eye. Yaruchi just sighed and rubbed Bis' head. I'm not mad at him. I just wish he would stop doing that. Now on to why I told you to come here even though you were in the middle of your training. Yaruchi walked over to the desk and picks up a stack of papers. Do you want the less problematic reports first, or do you want the more problematic? Let's go with the less problematic, said Naruto as he crossed his arms over his still bare chest and leaned on the wall next to the desk. First off, there seems to be an issue with the Cloud Village and the Leaf Village. From what I understand, there was already an issue. Did something happen to escalate the animosity the two hold for each other? Well, according to the report, the council, without permission from the Ryukage, added a secondary mission to a mission the Ryukage had already approved of, which was to send a peace treaty to the Leaf Village. What was the secondary mission? I don't think you are going to like this, but the secondary mission was to kidnap the little sister of the Hyuga heiress and put her in the breeding program so they may have a bloodline. The worst part of it, though, is that she is only 7 years old. Naruto was fuming. He hated the thought of rape, but these monsters took it a step further by wanting to do that to a child. Naruto grabbed his sword, prepared to kill everyone in Cloud if need be. Calm down, Narukuin. I already know what you are thinking, and that won't be necessary as the Ryukage has killed the entire council himself after he found out after the failure of said mission, though there was a casualty on the side of the Leaf. Before the council was killed, they demanded as compensation they get the body of who killed their ninja, thinking it was the clan head who killed him, not knowing it was actually his twin brother who did it. They promised war if the Leaf didn't comply. Also, they thought they could at least get a pair of the Byakugan eyes, though they were wrong because of a special seal placed on the branch family called the Caged Bird Seal, which enslaves them as well as destroy their eyes when die. Calming himself, Naruto replied, well, at least they didn't get away with it, though because of this both sides suffered casualties because of power-hungry individuals. At some point I think I'll visit the Cloud, but not for a while. They are still on edge after having the council killed. What's on the next report? Yaruchi started to flip through the reports to find the next one. Well, in the Sand Village, it would seem their Jinchuriki Gara of the Sand has been treated as bad as you were, and the seal which is used to hold the one-tailed raccoon dog is only a simple storage seal, and the Biju is making him go insane by making him think he needs to kill to prove his existence. Kid, I know my brother Shikaku, and what she says is true. He enjoys driving others to be as crazy as he is. I think I may go to the Sand Village before I make my way back to the Leaf. If he is truly being driven insane, he is going to need my help. Yaruchi just smiled at her little brother. Yaruchi just loved Naruto's caring side. Yaruchi's eyes widened when she read a report from the Leaf that she overlooked. Naruto, a report I seem to overlook from the Leaf shows that one of the council leaders has been working behind the scenes of a lot of crimes, including giving top-secret information to a missing ninja known as Orochimaru the Snake Sannin. Yaruchi thought this would upset Naruto, but to her surprise he remained impassive as remained leaned against the wall. I have always known there were traitors in the Leaf. Now I can weed them out as well as get my hands on some information on Orochimaru. What's the name of the council member? His name is Danzo Shimura. This earned a smile from Naruto as he has known about some of his dirty deeds as well as his grandfather's dislike of the man. Looks like I may be able to get Grandpa a little gift before my return. I want you to send a message to Rise. He is to get as much non-disputable evidence on Danzo's dealings as possible before I am to return to the Leaf within 1 year's time. Though he is still a little immature, he has all the qualities of a great leader. Once he gets a handle of his temper, there will be no one could stand toe-to-toe with him diplomatically. I'll inform Rise. Now there are 2 reports coming from the Mist. First is their Mizukage has declared civil war on all the bloodline users in the Mist by wiping out 2 clans, the Kagaya clan, which uses a bloodline to manipulate their bones into weapons, and the Yuki clan, which combines water and wind chakra to make their ice bloodline. Now non-bloodline users and bloodline users are at civil war. How long has this war been going on? Asked Naruto with a look of disgust on his face. It's been going on for about 7 months, but has only been public knowledge for about 3 weeks. Has anyone attempted to send help? There has to have been some form of a request for help. No, The only village they were allied with is the Leaf, and the Leaf informed them that they couldn't spare any ninja. That's understandable seeing as Stone is still hostile towards them, and now Cloud. They wouldn't know if one decided to take the opportunity to attack while they were helping the Mist. What is the other news coming from the Mist? As he was thinking of a way to deal with these problems. Well, in a small village in Wave, a tyrant by the name of Gato has taken over and started charging taxes at an unreal price. He has set up a prostitution ring and killed anyone who gets in his way. But the situation isn't as bad as the Mist, as there is a plan for a bridge to be built, which if built will help to overthrow Gato's rule as well improve their economy. But the problem is that there is no protection for those to build the bridge, seeing as Gato will probably kill them just for trying. Naruto stood in silence for a few seconds, thinking of the best course of action to take. Though Wave is in a tight spot, the village hidden in the mist is worse off than them. Looks like I have no choice, thought Naruto. Okay, I need 2 messages sent out. The first to be sent to whoever is in charge of building the bridge in Wave and explain that though I can't provide the help that they need for a while, but in 14 months to go to the Leaf Village and request me personally. Give her my name and description. Are you sure, Naruto? We can send some of our dragons and simply wipe out Gato and his men, spoke Yaruchi in a confused voice, wondering why he would wait when that could be handled now. No, I will handle it myself if they don't receive help from someone else before I return to the Leaf Village. Besides, I need to handle it myself as I don't want the world knowing about the return dragon summons until I return to the Leaf, replied the blonde. Sigh. Well, I assume you have a plan, said Yaruchi, only receiving a small smile in reply. All right, what is the second message you want sent out? Naruto picked up his sword and walked towards the walk-in closet. Tell Galeon that in 4 days' time I will make my way to the Mist Village and need an escort to the rebels, finished Naruto as he walked into the closet. What? Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, you better not be thinking what I think you are thinking, yelled a clearly upset Yaruchi. Not many things upset Yaruchi, but when you do upset her, run for cover. Shit, I was hoping that wouldn't upset her, thought Naruto as he tried to figure out whether to try and calm her down or just bolt and wait for her to calm herself. You better answer me before I lose it, yelled Yaruchi, sounding even more pissed off than before. Kit, just be truthful and explain you are not being reckless. You know she only gets angry like this when she thinks you are being reckless, explained Kurama. Sigh, you're right. I'm surprised you're not laughing at my misfortune, thought Naruto as he headed back to the room to face the music. It's because I want to stop my brother from killing innocent people as well. When Naruto walks out of the closet, he sees Yaruchi standing near the desk with her arms crossed underneath her sizable bust while tapping her foot and clearly pissed. Explain now, Yaruchi yelled loud enough for every dragon within a 5-mile radius to hear. Alright, but can you calm down first? You nearly burst my eardrum, whined Naruto as he rubbed his ears. Yaruchi just snorted at the comment and leaned against the desk as a motion for him to explain. If you think I'm being reckless and going in there without a plan, then you are sorely mistaken. Aren't you? Everything you do is reckless whether it is planned or not, Yaruchi spat back at Naruto. I am reckless when it comes to my training simply because I can afford to be, as I have a safety net, but I won't have that once I'm in the mist. There will be other people's lives on my hands, so I can't afford it. As Yaruchi listened to Naruto, she felt bad for thinking so little of his intelligence. The thought of him being reckless shouldn't have even crossed my mind. I keep thinking of him as my little brother and forgetting just how intelligent he really is. I need to apologize. I feel as if I have to go because there are only a handful of people who have the skill and chakra to actually take down a Jinchuriki with full control of his Biju, and I doubt they have anyone like that. I know I have enough chakra to take down the Three Tails, and if push comes to shove there is Kurama, or I can seal off the Three Tails chakra. I am sorry, Naruto. I didn't mean to insult your intelligence or your intentions. I just can't help feel worried you are going to be reckless and get yourself hurt or worse, cried Yaruchi as she hugged Naruto. Naruto returned the hug and started rubbing her back, trying to get her to stop crying. Don't cry. I am not upset. I just don't like upsetting you. You are always going to be my beautiful sister who cares about her slightly reckless little brother, but I am not going to be that way with the lives of others in my hand. Yaruchi smiled at Naruto's kind-hearted nature. I believe you and I trust you to come back in one piece. Always one each on. One more thing, can you also inform Rinnegan that I will be headed to the Mist Village to help with the war? No problem. There was something he wanted to talk to you about anyway. Just go to the meeting hall tomorrow morning. As Yoruchi released the hug and walked toward the door, as she had a couple of messages to send out. Alright, Nei-chan. If you need me, I will be out in my garden, called Naruto as he walked back into the closet to grab a change of clothes to change into. Little brother, though you may have the body and mindset of a man, you have two of the most girliest hobbies in cooking and gardening, thought Yoruchi as she walked out the door, though she would never say it to his face. As Naruto was looking through the closet, he came across a full-body gray hooded cloak. Kit, that would be useful for infiltrating. Especially after I add a couple of seals that I have in mind, thought Naruto as he put it to the side as he grabbed a pair white of exercise shorts, a black sleeveless t-shirt and pair of black boxers. The blonde left the closet and placed the clothes on the bed for later use. I think I'll work on my garden before showering, thought before body flickering out of the room. A few seconds later, Naruto reappeared outside a large 6,000 square foot glass greenhouse. When Naruto walks in, the first thing he sees are his large sakura trees framing the doorway. After walking a little further into the greenhouse, Naruto comes upon the pride and joy of the garden, the large beds of flowers. Naruto had 15 different flowers in these beds: red, white, blue and pink roses, red amaryllis, red tulips, yellow tulips, primrose, bluebell, red camellia, yellow camellia, white chrysanthemum, daffodil and desert lilies. But what interested Naruto the most in here was the large tree located at the back of the greenhouse. This tree looked like an ordinary oak tree, but this was a chakra tree that Naruto grew from a regular tree and added tons of his own chakra to make it a lot stronger, like he did for his flowers, only he used small amounts to make the color of the flowers brighter. Naruto made 20 shadow clones and gave them the task of watering all the flowers and adding a small amount of chakra to the soil. The blonde Jinchuriki then laid next to his chakra tree on the grass as he watched his shadow clones work. Kurama, do you think I am strong enough to take down Yagura? What's wrong? Doubting your abilities? No, I just honestly don't know how to rate the level I'm at right now. Besides, this is a Kage who hold perfect control over the three tails, so I am a little worried if I alone will be enough to stop him, thought Naruto as he looked up at his tree. Kit, if I have ever had any confidence in someone else's power, it would be you. Besides, you have enough chakra to match the 5 tails, so I am pretty sure you can match up against my brother, replied Kurama as the shadow clones finished. The blonde stood up, feeling better after his small talk with Kurama. Thanks for the confidence booster. I really needed that, thought the Kyūbi container as looked toward the sky. Prepare yourself, Yagura. It seems as if you are going to be the first roadblock I go through before achieving my dream. 7 a.m. 4 days later. Early in the morning, where most were just awakening, the Namake's heir was already awake, preparing to leave for the hidden mist village. Currently, he was packing his weapons: 50 personally created explosive tags, which were a lot more destructive than regular tags, 100 Senbon needles, 40 shuriken, 20 feet of ninja wire, and 20 Thunder God kunai. Knock knock. Come in. The double doors to Naruto's bedroom opened and revealed all 5 dragon leaders. Ah, Naruto-sama. I see you are preparing to leave for the mist, spoke Haja. Yes, Haja-sensei. I am to meet Galeon in an hour and a half. Well, Naruto-sama, we came to give you some things as well as a piece of information we wanted to give you, and now seems like the right time, said Rinnegan as he handed Naruto a huge box of which was wooden. But before you open that, allow me to see your gauntlets, Rinnegan said as he had Naruto sit the box down. The Black Dragon Master reached out and touched the gauntlets, assessing how in tune Naruto was with them by pouring in a little of his own dragon mana. Wow, these things just keep radiating power, and from the feel of it, they keep evolving, thought Naruto as he examined the arm guards. These arm guards will, when the time is right, show you the true strength we dragons possess, and by extension you, said Julius to Naruto as he was still admiring them. They will eventually bestow an ability of great power, said Crimson to a still in awe Naruto. Hey Kurama, are you feeling this? Yeah, it's just oozing the same aura your masters possess, Kurama replied back to him. Why don't you open the box, Naruto-sama, asked Rinnegan. Naruto only nodded as he opened the box. The first thing that caught his eye was a black dragon umbu-like mask which sat atop clothing. The blonde then picked up the mask and began to run his fingers across it, inspecting its craftsmanship. "It's so beautifully crafted," thought Naruto, as he continued to run his fingers across the mask. "We are glad you like the mask. It has a seal that will change your hair black when wearing, but there are other items in there," laughed out Rinnegan. "Why don't you change into those clothes, so we can all see how they look?" With only a simple nod, Naruto walks into the closet with the box in hand to change into the new clothes. After about 10 minutes, he came out of the closet decked out in his new clothes. He had on long black cargo-style pants which were tucked into a pair of tall black combat boots that came up to mid-shin. There was a utility belt wrapped around his waist. The belt had space to hold multiple storage scrolls as well as a shuriken holster and small silver chains that held his sword at the side of his hip. Naruto wore a tight black short-sleeved muscle shirt with a mask attached, think Kakashi's mask, which stopped just below his eyes. He also had on his arm guards and black gloves that had silver-plated knuckles and a plate on the back of the hand with a kanji for dragon on them. "These clothes suit you very well, Naruto-sama. We've had them specially made so that you can't destroy them like you usually do. There is also multiple seals for self-repair and growth, so they will grow as you do," said Burial as he appraised the Dragon Master. "Naruto-sama, those gloves are specially made. The right glove creates three-pronged kunai and the left creates shuriken Julies," explained to Naruto. Naruto then channeled a small amount of chakra into the right glove, and much to his surprise a Hiraishin kunai appeared in his hand. "Damn, these gloves are going to make life so much easier." "Thank you, really. These clothes are perfect as they are comfortable and have many compartments weapons without the getting in the way," spoke Naruto as he grabbed his scrolls and placed them on the back of his utility belt and wrapped his Hiraishin kunai pouch around his right thigh. "Knock knock. Come in." In came Yoruichi with her hands behind her back while she appraised her little brother's new look. "Good morning, Naruto-chan. I see they have given you the new clothes and they look amazing. There just seems to be missing something," said Yoruichi as she circled around Naruto, getting a small laugh from the dragon leaders. "Missing what, Ne-chan?" asked Naruto as he raised his eyebrow and cocked his head to the side slightly, which made Yoruichi want to just hug the life out of him, but she restrained herself. "That look of his is dangerous to all female kind. Makes you just want to take him home with you," thought Yoruichi. "This," said Yoruichi as she pulled a long-sleeved leather hooded coat out from behind her back. It was a coat similar yet different from his father's. "I know how much you admire your father and I have seen how much you wish your parents could have been here. So I thought what better way to honor him than to have you dress similar to him yet with your own style," spoke Naruto's purple-haired sister as she handed him the coat. Naruto for one was speechless, something that rarely happens, for Yoruichi to put so much thought into a gift for him, as she was so against him going in the first place, but now she is standing in front of him supporting him wholeheartedly. "Ne-chan, thank you. All I can say is thank you. You are right, I do admire both my parents very much, and I wish they were both here, but they aren't," spoke Naruto a little depressingly as hung his head. "So the only thing I can do is do my best to make them into the proudest parents the afterlife has ever seen as they watch my story unfold," stated the blonde, pride and determination driving him. "Well, since you have something to honor your father, why not something to honor your mother as well," stated Rinnegan. "What do you mean?" asked a confused Naruto. Rinnegan handed Naruto a black headband that had what Naruto recognized as the Uzumaki clan symbol on a metal plate. "This was given to me by the last leader of Whirlpool before their destruction to give to the chosen Uzumaki. He told me that they would need it. He did not explain why, only they would know when you get there. I guess I'll find out when I get there, huh?" stated Naruto as he tied the headband to his left bicep and put on his dragon mask, walking over to the bed and putting on his dark gray cloak, signaling that it was time for him to leave. The dragon leaders all bowed to Naruto, showing their respect to their future leader. "Have a safe journey and show the world the power of the Black Dragon," spoke the dragons in unison as they left Naruto alone with Yoruichi. "Ne-chan, I know you don't really want me to go, but I have to, so I want you to know I will be ending this war, as it is only a stepping stone on the road to my dream." Yoruichi could only smile and hug her brother before she playfully punched him in the chest. "You better come back, because death will be the least of your worries if I find out you got yourself killed, cause I will bring you back just to kill you again. Do you hear me, Naruto Uzumaki?" said Yoruichi as she released a deadly amount of Ki. "Yes, Ne-chan." I hear you loud and clear, stated a sweating Naruto from behind his mask as released the hug. Naruto unsheathed his sword and pointed off to his left. Sieg opened the portal to the meeting point with Galeon. Yes, Naruto-sama, replied Sieg from Naruto's mind as he opened a large human-sized purple portal. Looking over his shoulder to Yaruchi, Naruto waved his hand as he walked through the portal. Please stay safe, Narukuin, Hidden Mist Village. The Hidden Mist Village was an extremely beautiful village surrounded by lush grass-covered hills, perfectly sculpted stone buildings, a pleasantly thick fog covering the village which originates from the large ocean surrounding them. Now the village has lost its former beauty thanks to the fourth Mizukage Yagura Jinchuriki of the Three Tails. Yagura declared all bloodlines a disease which needs to be cleansed, and the only way to be cleansed is death itself, and anyone who doesn't agree has also been contaminated, thus plunging them in a year-long civil war which has in a literal sense split the village in two. Rebel Camp, Bloodline. The rebels, though having location on their side as they controlled the larger part of the ocean surrounding the village, but also at a disadvantage as Yagura's forces controlled all the buildings that contained weaponry and medical supplies. Because of this they have to camp out in tents and don't have a proper medical station. Their leader is Mei Terumi, a 20-year-old jounin who since the age of 13 has rapidly rose through the ranks and is now one of the only S-rank female ninja in the elemental nations. She was also one of the most beautiful women throughout the nation. Mei is a cheerful person, and will smile even when swearing to kill someone after she mishears them. She is usually kind and peaceful, speaking well of others and attempting to avoid conflict. Mei proved to be more open-minded than most women. Mei is a tall, slender woman in her 20s. She has green eyes and ankle-length, auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, with one covering her right eye, and 2 are long, crossing each other on her bust, just below her chin. She wears a long-sleeved, dark blue dress that falls just below the knees. It seems to be closed at the front with a zipper, and is kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covers up to the upper part of her arms and the underside of her D-cup breasts. Underneath, she wears a mesh armor that covers slightly more of her upper body than her dress. She also wears shorts in the same color as her dress and, underneath those, mesh leggings reaching down over her knees. Around her waist, she wears a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left along with high-heeled sandals and shin guards reaching up over her knees, dark blue polish on her fingers and toes, and is usually shown with dark blue lipstick. Mei was currently having a meeting with 2 of her most supportive and loyal ninja of her Ao and Chojuro. Ao was an experienced veteran, having been raised under the feared regime of the Bloody Mist. Ao was a calm, prideful, stern, and was the epitome of a stereotypical masculine individual. He was a middle-aged man with blue hair which is styled in a moused-up manner. His left eye was blue and his right eye was covered by an eye patch, under which he concealed the Byakugan that he obtained from a Hyuga clan member he defeated. He wore a talisman in each ear with the kanji for a humble form of to hear written on them twice on each side. These talismans reacted when his Byakugan is under threat and will protect it from anyone, even himself. He also wore the standard striped, gray suit with a green haori that had white trimmings that stop halfway down, over them. Chojuro is a shinobi from Kirigakure's 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist who wields the twin sword, Hiramakari. Despite his membership in the elite 7 swordsman group, he is a shy individual and seems to lack confidence in his abilities. He also greatly respects and admires Mei. Chojuro has short, tufty blue hair and dark eyes. He also has pointed, shark-like teeth, a common trait of the members of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist as well as apprentices share. He wears square, black-rimmed glasses connected to ear protectors, a blue pinstriped shirt and camouflage pattern pants. Also, he wears his forehead protector on the front of his holster which he uses to carry Hiramakari. The sword itself is wrapped in bandages leaving only the double hilt visible. He also has shuriken holsters strapped onto each of his legs. Ao, have you or the other censors had any luck in finding Yagura's location? Asked Mei as she flipped her hair back over her shoulder. No, Mei-sama, since he disappeared over 5 months ago, we haven't even gotten close. A couple of leads here and there, but nothing concrete. It's like he just disappeared altogether. Are you sure he hasn't left the village? Positive, he has to be in the village. With our sensors, there would be no way for him to leave the village without our knowledge. Besides, if he were to slip by us, then we would have heard about his location from our spies. Sitting back in her seat thinking about this predicament they find themselves in. We can't keep this war going. We need to find Yagura and eliminate him. Just as she finished her thought, one of the sensors burst into the tent. "Mesama, Mesama," yelled the sensor. "Calm down, what is it?" "We just sensed a large chakra source about 1,200 meters off the coast." "Was it Yagura?" asked Chojuro as he jumped to his feet, worrying that May would be reckless if it was based how she has been acting lately. "No, we don't think so. This chakra seems to be much stronger than Yagura's," said the sensor in an almost panicked voice. The only person to have chakra anywhere near Yagura was Kisame, and his still wasn't as strong, which means maybe a Jinchuriki has decided to help Yagura. "Chojuro, Ao, we are going to check this out. You tell everyone to be prepared that, if this goes bad, to run and completely leave the village," said May in a commanding voice. "Yes, May-sama," they all said in union as Ao and Chojuro followed May out of the tent. 1,200 meters off the coast of the mist, 10 minutes prior. A large purple portal opened, hovering a foot above the ocean water as a figure wearing a black dragon mask slightly covered by long spiky sun-kissed golden blonde hair standing at 5 feet 10 inches, body covered in a black hooded cloak. "Man, why did we have to meet all the way out in the ocean?" "Kit, I think you forgot to activate the anti-chakra sensor seal, because I sense a chakra signature that just darted off from the coast." "Yeah, I did actually. I didn't think anyone would be this far out to sense me before I activated the seal. Hopefully that was one of the rebels and not someone siding with the Mizukage. Wouldn't want him being tipped off to my arrival before I wanted." As he finished his small conversation with Kurama, he felt a familiar chakra signature from beneath him and let said signature crawl up to his shoulder and wrap itself around the blonde's neck. "Ah, Naruto-sama, how has training been?" exclaimed Galeon as he basked in the calming effect of Naruto's chakra. Galeon is a water-type dragon who is the older brother of Bis. Galeon, who is little larger than his brother, and like his brother, he looked like a limbless blue alligator with wings. "Training was very fruitful, but do you mind telling me why we are in the middle of the ocean?" asked Naruto, as he rubbed Galeon, who was still enjoying the feel of Naruto's chakra. "Well, these mist sensors are incredibly good for one, and we are on the rebel side of the village, so we don't have to through Yagura's forces to get to the rebels," replied the dragon, breaking himself out of the feel of Naruto's chakra. For chakra signatures are approaching the shore at high speed. It's too late to activate my seal, so I'll just have to meet Tem head-on. What do you think, Kurama?" "Might as well. If your chakra signature were to disappear only for them to see you later on, they may react violently," retorted back Kurama. "Galeon, who's leading the rebel faction at the moment?" "Well, there is Chojuro, who despite his looks is excellent battle technician. Then there is Ao, who is head over the sensors and in charge of the tracking teams, and finally Mei Terumi, who is head over the whole operation." "Yeah, I remember your detailed reports on each of their abilities." "All right, Galeon, why don't you go back home so deal with this? Besides, Bis has really missed you. I think he would really appreciate seeing you, especially since I'm not there anymore." "Sure, Naruto-sama, but are you positive you don't need me?" "Yes, I am positive. Go back and spend some time with Bis. Also do me a favor and spend time with Nei-chan, so she isn't as lonely, worrying herself to death about me." "No problem, Naruto-sama. If you need me, just summon me, and I'll be at beck and call." Poof, disappeared Galeon. Taking off his gray hooded cloak, the blonde sealed said cloak in one of his empty storage scrolls. "Why are my eyes itching? Maybe it's my hair in my face and I need to tie it up like Nei-chan is always telling me to," thought Naruto as he took off his dragon mask, rubbing his eyes before putting his mask back on. "Still feels uncomfortable, but I don't have time to worry about that right now," thought Naruto before he sped off towards the shore at Jonin level speed. So it's finally begun. We'll deal with this later." Mei, Chojuro, and Ao. Mei and her followers were currently standing in the tree line just along the shore in awe of the massive chakra headed their way. Ao, Chijiro, stay on guard but don't provoke a fight because if possible I would rather not have to go up against anyone or anything that could in terms of chakra outmuscle Yagura, said Mei, receiving nods from the two in agreement. And you, if this turns ugly, wait for my signal and go evacuate the camps to get as far away from the village as possible, ordered Mei to the censor. Hi Mei-sama, replied a reluctant censor as he didn't like the idea of having to sacrifice their leader but knew he had to follow orders. Next thing they know, a figure came to a skidding stop across the surface of the water. You four might as well come out, I know you are there, yelled the dark-clothed figure. What the hell? How did we were here, questioned a dumbstruck Mei, knowing how elite they were at stealth, yet they were discovered in the blink of an eye. Signaling the others, they made their way out of the tree line to the beach below. Now standing a mere 15 feet away, they now able to drink in the man before them, standing at 5 feet 10 inches, dressed in long black cargo pants which were tucked into black mid-shin high boots, a sheathed black guard-less sword with a silver dragon designs hanging from a utility belt, a tight black muscle shirt, black arm guards which had what seemed like a diamond embedded in the center, black gloves that had silver-plated knuckles and plate on the back. He wore an ankle-length, long-sleeved, hooded black leather coat, but what was most notable to them was the pitch-black waist-length hair with shoulder-length bangs framing the sides of his face, covering most of his right eye, which framed his black dragon mask, and a whirlpool headband wrapped around his left bicep. Let's cut to the chase. Who are you and what the hell are you doing here? Asked Ao, trying his best to sound intimidating and not intimidated. Well, I am here because I received information on this civil war going on and wanted to help. As for who I am, you can call me Black Dragon, spoke Naruto in a neutral tone. Okay, Mr. Black Dragon. How do we know you aren't an agent that was sent here by Yagura to kill us? What proof do you have that we trust you? Asked Ao as the four of them studied Naruto's body language to detect any hint of false truth. I don't have any proof other than my word that I want nothing other than to end this senseless war based on some idiot's twisted views, rebutted the blonde to Ao proclamation. And we're just suppo dash started Ao before he was cut off by Mei. That's enough, Ao. I do believe the man is telling the truth. But Mei-sama, how can you be so sure? He could be lying to catch us off guard. Mei just shook her head at the lead censor. No, he isn't lying. His eyes tell only truth. That is the one thing on a person's body that will always betray you, finished Mei as she strode up to Naruto and extended her hand towards him. Nice to meet you. I am Mei Terumi. I am leading the bloodlines against Yagura. Naruto took her hand in his, giving her a firm handshake. The pleasure is all mine, Mei-sama, spoke the Rinnegan Wilder, hoping to break the tension. Hey Mei-sama. Don't fall for it, he might just be trying to get us to let our guard down. Ao? Shut up before I melt you, said Mei in a sickly sweet voice. Now I may not be as cautious as Ao is over there, but forgive me for not completely trusting you, as in our position we have to be extremely careful, but I see no reason not to hear you out, explained Mei. I completely understand the position you are in, but as to not put my village in any danger, I must ask to allow me to keep my identity from you, but I am willing to follow any restrictions you may want to place on me, as to not put you in any more of a compromising position than you already are. Mei-sama, if I may, we don't even know how strong he is. This could put us in a dangerous spot if it turns out that he is weak. This didn't sit well with Naruto, as Ao just called him weak, and if it was one thing Naruto loved doing was making those who underestimated him eat crow. Why don't you test my capabilities as to ease your worry? Said in an eerily dark voice while releasing a large amount of Ki, making Ao instantly regret his comments but having a typical male ego keep up appearance as to not seem weak himself. Since I am sure you are the stronger ninja, there seems to be no better way of proving myself than taking down a high-ranking officer such as yourself, wouldn't you agree? But before he could reply, the blonde turned to Mei. That is if Mei-sama allows it. I see no problem with it so long as you both agree to not use lethal force, okay? Naruto couldn't help but grin underneath his mask as he thought of all the ways he could destroy Ao. You know you can be a sadistic bastard sometimes, spoke Kurama from the back of Naruto's mind. What can I say, he broke one of my taboos, so he is going to pay the penalty. So hand-to-hand combat with C-rank jutsu and lower fine with you? The air around him has suddenly changed, He is too sure of himself. I better tread carefully because I may have bitten off more than I can chew. Fine with me, replied Ao, trying to mask his nervousness. Now, Mei-sama, would you be so kind as to call the match? Sure. Fighters ready? Ao dropped into his gentle fist taijutsu stances, while Naruto just crossed his arms over his chest, hijime. Ao sped towards the blonde who stood there unmoving as Ao went for an open-handed palm strike aimed at the temple of the head, trying to end the fight by knockout, only to find that he connected with air. He panicked, not knowing where he went, only to find him standing a few feet away from him, leaning up, Aga into tree, arms still crossed over his chest. What the hell, I didn't even see him move, was the collective thought of everyone in the vicinity as Naruto started walking towards Ao, but Ao didn't want to give him any chance to attack, figuring if he could move that fast, then there was no telling what else he could do. So Ao unleashed a fury of palm thrusts, finger strikes and spin kicks, only for each and everyone to be gracefully dodged. I have never seen anyone toy around with Ao like this before. Hell, even I need to give Ao my undivided attention when we spar, thought aloud a flabbergasted Mei. I know, but Mei-sama, look at the guy's movements, there is no wasted motion and so fluid. With movements such as those it would be hard for anyone to touch him no matter how good their taijutsu was, added Chijuro as they continued to watch Ao miss strike after strike. I expected this to be a little tougher seeing as I am going up against a jonin, but honestly I am a little disappointed, thought Naruto as he dodged a kick aimed at his head. That's not fair, Kit. He falls under the 90% category of average ninja or those who aren't especially talented, while you are more talented, the 10th percentile of prodigies and geniuses. Not to mention you have been studying under 5 Dragon Masters for the past 5 years, and with your use of shadow clones you technically have a ton of more fighting experience than he does. Hey, he is a jonin, which is the elite of the village, so he should be able to put up a little better fight, retorted the blonde as he stared impassively at a panting Ao. HMGH, I'm not going to argue with you about this because you know I am right and I understand you want to remain humble. Sigh. I know, but you know I have a disdain for arrogance and I refuse to let it corrupt me. I know, Kit, but it doesn't hurt to admit to being better than others when it's true. Now stop playing with him and finish this, reasoned Kurama. No problem. Besides, I can't afford to play with him all day now, can I? Naruto shocked the panting jonin by appearing right in front of him without any indication of moving at all before planting a knee in Ao's stomach, forcing the seasoned vet to double over in one quick movement. Naruto swept Ao's feet from up under him, causing him to become airborne, but before he could hit the ground Naruto repositioned himself and delivered a bone-crushing punch to his chest cavity, smashing him into the ground. Ugh, groaned Ao before he felt something cold pressing up against his neck. Looks like I win, said the black dragon as Ao opened his eyes to see the dragon-masked individual standing above him with a black-bladed sword pointed at his jugular. Sigh, I concede defeat, retorted a defeated Ao as Naruto sheathed his blade and offered Ao a hand to help him up. Sorry if I was a little too rough during the spar. No hard feelings. None taken. If you are truly here to help us out, then we are going to need you to be as ruthless as possible. I would have questioned you if you had given off the feeling of being soft on an enemy, no matter how strong you are, explained Ao as he dusted himself off and stretched out a few bruised areas. As I have told Mei-sama, I understand your position and don't expect you to trust me, and if I wasn't prepared to do what must be done, I wouldn't be here, said Naruto as he stared impassively into Ao's one visible eye. Okay, that's enough. We need to get back to camp and let everyone know that there is no danger, among other things, came the voice of Mei Terumi, leaving no room for a rebuttal as she and Chijuro started walking towards camp. 10 minutes of tree hopping later, they arrived at the campsite, which was nothing special, just multitude of tents that was surrounded by a 20-foot-high wood gate with what Naruto assumed to be Umbu operatives. After greeting everyone in the camp and putting everyone's mind at ease, Mei led them to one of the larger tents where there were 3 people waiting around a table. Some introductions are in order. First we have Aki Natsuki, spoke Mei as she took her seat at the head of the table. Aki has a long, slender body and is usually dressed in a light pink uniform. Head medic Aki is an extremely pretty woman with braided hair and glasses. Nice to meet you, spoke Aki as she gave a light bow. Next we have Berkuli, our residential shinobi trainer. Yo, greeted Berkuli. Berkuli has a masculine, bulky, muscular build and is nearly 6'5". He has short, iron-gray hair, tinged with blue, that exposes his rather thick neck, sturdy chin and short beard that grows from it. He also has abnormally broad shoulders and his forearm is similar to a log in size. Thus, he is likely capable of swinging any sword with ease. He has a firm look that matches his low, deep, worn-out and crude voice. Berkuli is over 40 years old. However, despite his age, there is no slackening around his hips, nor are his cheeks split by his high nose bridge. He has countless old wounds, caused by blades and arrows, running across his body. And last but not least we have Diavel Master Spy. "Hello," politely spoke Diavel. Diavel had a bronze armor set on his chest, shoulders, arms and shins, with a large long sword on his left waist. He had blue hair with long bangs and blue eyes. His clothes under the armor were also blue. "It's a pleasure to meet you all. I go by Black Dragon," responded Naruto with a slight wave of his hand. I noticed you wear the headband of Whirlpool on your right shoulder, and to my knowledge they were wiped out, so I am curious as to your connection with that village?" asked Aki with a curious look. "Well, as I have informed Maesama that I couldn't reveal too much information about myself for personal reasons, as well as to not put my village in an uncompromising position. But let's just say that this headband is a memento of sorts," replied Naruto as he tapped the headband. "And you agreed to this knowing the position we are in and that he could possibly betray us?" asked Diavel of his auburn-haired leader. "Yes, I agreed to this knowing all of that. Looking into his eyes, I can see the sincerity in them, which lets me know that he spoke the truth, and I believe he really wants to help us." "Well, if Maesama is going to give him a chance then, so am I," spoke up Berkuli. "I agree as well," came the voice of Aki as they all looked towards Diavel waiting for his response. "Fine, I'll give him a chance. But I do not trust him, and if at any point I feel as if he has betrayed us, I will take you out myself," expressed the spy master by sending a cold glare towards the blonde. "No problem. I expected no less from you considering the predicament you're in. Now that's done, let's move on. Diavel, what's your report?" asked May, changing the subject. "Nothing's changed. We still don't know the whereabouts of Yagura, but we do know he is somehow relaying his orders to the Umbu." "Could he be in one of the underground bunkers?" asked May. Diavel just shook his head. "No, we've checked all the bunkers and they haven't been touched in months, so that's not even a possibility." "Okay, just continue looking and keep me posted on your progress," ordered an annoyed rebel leader. "Hi, Maesama. Berkuli, please tell me you have some good news?" "Well, you're in luck because I actually do," smiled the muscular individual. "I have trained the fresh batch up to usable standards as well as completed the last bunch's training, so you can start using them on the front lines. Here is a complete list of their individual skills," spoke Berkuli as he slid a stack of paper across the table to May. "Perfect, I knew I could count on you to give me some good news," smiled May as she looked through a few shinobi files. "Now please tell me you at least don't have any bad news, Aki," May asked hopefully. "Sorry, Maesama, but myself and the other medics are really struggling. We need more medical supplies," said the exasperated medic. "May I suggest something?" "Sure, go right ahead." "There is a hospital in the village, correct?" asked Naruto as he received a round of nods. "It's not like we can just go into the village because the Umbu would kill any one of yous the moment we get even remotely close," spoke Diavel. "I know that. I wasn't even going to suggest that. What I wanted to know was, would the hospital carry everything you need?" Aki nodded in confirmation. "Well, I can solve this little problem of yours if you provide me with what I need." "And what would that be?" asked May. "First and foremost, I need a list of everything needed from the hospital. Next, I need as most an accurate a schedule for when the Umbu shifts change and an overlay of the hospital." They all looked towards their leader, waiting for her to respond. "Don't look at me. You heard what he needs. Get a move on and meet back here in a couple of hours." "Yes, ma'am." After everyone was gone, leaving Naruto and May alone, May spoke up. "Since we have a couple of hours until we meet again, I am going to take care of a few things that require my attention. So I am going to place a little more of my trust in you and allow you to roam free, but I warn you, don't break that trust," spoke May as she released a small amount of ki. "I wouldn't dream of it," answered Naruto with a hidden smirk, unfazed by the rebel leader's ki. As to not overstep my boundaries, would it be all right if I were to leave the camp? Asked the blonde. Sure. Go right ahead. But remember my warning. I thank you for your leeway, Mesama, replied the dragon-masked individual with a slight bow before walking out of the tent. Are you sure it is okay to let him to roam free like this? Came a voice from behind May. Not even bothering to turn around, she answered nonchalantly. Yes, he will be fine. I just get this feeling that I can trust him. All right, I will go with what you say and allow him to roam freely. With Naruto. Naruto was currently leaping from branch to branch headed towards the southwest of the rebel camp. Kit. Yeah, Kurama, what is it? I need you to find a nice quiet meditation spot. There is something I need to tell you, said the nine-tailed fox from inside of Naruto's mind. What do you have to tell me? Naruto asked curiously. I'll tell you after you have done what I said. A few minutes later, the Rinnegan wielder arrived at a small pond surrounded by trees in a secluded area of the forest. Walking over to the pond, Naruto gets into the lotus position, watching a few fish dance around under the water. Well, Kurama started Naruto before a pounding headache hit him like a ton of bricks. This is what I wanted to tell you. Your Rinnegan is finally tuning to your body, and that is the pain you are feeling. You need to accept it and not fight it, or it can kill you. Argah, screamed Naruto as the pain started to increase, feeling as if something was trying to pierce his forehead from the inside out. Kit, please just accept it. Don't fight it, please. Knowing Kurama wouldn't steer in the wrong direction, listened to him and gave in. But what happened next shocked him. His Rinnegan came to life in all its cerulean blue glory. Then the elements started to encase around his body. The wind picked up, forming a small whirlwind of sorts around him. Lightning started dancing around his body. Small rocks began to come out of the ground and spin with the wind. A small portion of water let the pond and formed a small circle in which it looked like a flowing river. Before he knew it, Naruto was levitating a few inches off the ground with the elements swirling around him and his chakra spiking to heights, making it become visible. Wow, was the only thought the fox could come up with as he felt this power from inside Naruto. Suddenly Naruto was pulled into a deep meditative state where he could actually feel the spinning of the earth and the pull the earth had over the moon. The next thing he knew, he was hit with what he would as pure unadulterated power in what seemed to come in 3 different forms. Concentrating on the strongest energy, and in doing so found the source of said energy, the sun. Moving to the next source, he found this power similar, only this power was dark. The moon. Why is this power so dark while the sun's power is so full of life? Deciding to move on from that thought, he felt an energy similar yet different to both the sun and moon coming from the surrounding area, whether it be the ground, the trees, the water, or even the air itself. Naruto reached out to touch it before a booming voice came from inside his mind, stopping him in his tracks. Don't touch that. Kurama. Yeah, Kit, it's me. Don't touch that energy. That is nature chakra. Something you are not ready for and highly dangerous to those who don't know what they are doing. I would listen to him if I were you. A strange yet deep voice said from behind Kurama, making them both jump. Who are you and how did you get here? Kurama asked. A black started to form until a silhouette of a large with a glowing left green eye and a glowing right blue eye. You're not ready for that yet, but you will know in time. For now, follow the fox's advice and stay away from natural chakra. And with that, the dragon disappeared. Naruto thought on what he said for a second before putting it to the back of his mind to bring this up to Rinnegan whenever he saw him again. Kurama broke him out of his thought. Now, as you have accepted your true Rinnegan, reign in your power and control it before too much attention is brought to you. Doing what Kurama says, Naruto reigns in his chakra and descends back to the ground right in front of the pond, where then the elements surrounding him disperse. Naruto was gearing up to talk to Kurama when he saw his reflection in the water and noticed his Rinnegan had changed from its cerulean blue to a metallic purple. He had grown about 2 inches and his chest as well as his arms filled out slightly. Kurama, what was all that about? Well, something that the Uzumaki didn't know is that the Rinnegan is a dojutsu that must choose its wielder, and that is what happened. What do you mean choose? Though there were those who were able to activate the dojutsu, they were only able to gain 3 abilities. Control over the 5 basic elements as well as sub-elements, the ability to summon multiple animals, and control over gravity. The other abilities escaped them. The chosen ones amongst the Rinnegan wielder's abilities were infinity stronger than those who just happened to activate it. Silently taking in what Kurama had told him as he stared at his reflection while wordlessly sorting through the subtle information the Rinnegan had been feeding him, understanding the weight of his eyes. After a couple of hours of meditation, chakra control to lower regular chakra output, and tossing around a few jutsu to test his new control of the elements, Naruto was now headed back to the rebel camp as night has just fallen. With Mei and her gathering. "Where is he?" sounded off a frustrated Broccoli. "Yeah, he asked for all this and now he is late," agreed Diavel as he looked at all the paperwork to find what he was looking for. "Calm down. I told him he could have some free time while you did everything required. Besides, it's not like you have been here long, it has only been 3 minutes. I agree with Mei-sama. Besides, if my memory is correct, that is his chakra signature, then he should be walking in here at any moment," finished Aki a few seconds before Black Dragon walked in. "Sorry if I am late. I was doing a little training and lost a track of time. Is it just me, or did he get a little taller?" whispered Broccoli to himself. "No problem, Dragon. Now they have gathered what you asked for. Would you enlighten us on why you needed those things as well as your plan?" "Well, I am a master at stealth, and as such would need information on where I am breaking into." Diavel stood up and unrolled what looked like blueprints. "Your best option would be to enter from the south. Every hour there is a member of the hospital staff that takes out the garbage." Aki walked over and took over where Diavel took over. "Once you are in, take the stairwell to go to the 5th floor and look for research room 15. It will have everything on this list," finished Aki as she handed over a list of medical supplies. "The umbu in that area change shifts in exactly 48 minutes, which is the weakness in their protection scheme." "Thank you, I should be back in about an hour and a half," said Naruto as he pocketed the list and walked out of the tent. 20 minutes later. Naruto was currently wearing his hood up with his invisibility seal activated while crouched down on top of a building across from the hospital. "I give them credit. They keep this place heavily secured. What do you expect? They are in an internal war, so they would need to keep their wounded protected. I understand that. It's just I didn't think they would have this many umbu. I mean, I sense at least 50 without counting those who are inside." "Pay attention. Someone is coming out," said Kurama, getting Naruto's attention, as what looked like a middle-aged male came out of the back of the hospital carrying huge trash bags to the dumpster. Acting quickly, Naruto made it through the double doors before the janitor could close the doors. After the janitor was back inside, he went straight for the elevator while, unbeknown to him, an intruder had already entered the stairwell. "It will be too suspicious to just open the door myself, so I better just wait for someone to come through." Before he knew it, a doctor came through the doors, heading down the stairs. Quickly, Naruto jumped through the door as to not alert the descending doctor. "Okay, now I need to find research room 15, thought Naruto as he paced through the hospital past the reception deck, checking the rooms as he passed by, careful to not touch anyone or anything in his search. "Get him into room 3026 stat, yelled one of the nurses as she directed the medics down the hall. Unfortunately for Naruto, they were speeding towards his direction, but purely on reflex, he jumped over them, going completely unnoticed. Ignoring the commotion going on, Naruto continues his search. "Research room 15, finally!" exclaimed the blonde mentally as he entered the room while silently closing and locking the door behind him. Shadow Clone Jutsu called out Naruto as 10 solid clones appeared. "You have 3 minutes to grab everything in this room and divide them into 3 categories: medical tools, medicine, and painkillers. Now go." Over the next couple of minutes, all you can see is blurs of black moving items all across the room. After they finished, Naruto expelled them immediately, getting the feeling that he needed to get out of there. "Let's seal these into scrolls and get out of here." Wasting no time at all, he quickly sealed up everything. Putting away the scrolls safely, he reactivated the invisibility seal and exited the room, making it a priority to get out as quickly as possible. A stealthy escape later led Naruto to the rooftops of the village's edge, where he was far enough to relax a little as he channeled chakra into his legs and jumped over the village wall, beginning his descent into the trees below. he channeled wine chakra into the soles of his feet to slow down his rapid descent for a graceful landing. After his landing, a thought crossed his mind that he overlooked. The village security was quite a bit more lax than it was when he infiltrated a little while back. What's going on? Where are the Umbu? Thought Naruto as he expanded his senses searching for the missing Umbu. In his search, his senses located the Umbu in very close proximity of the rebel camp. Oh no, what are they doing over there? No time, I need to get over there and fast, thought Naruto as he threw the hood of his blonde hair. Lightning style, lightning armor jutsu, called out Naruto as he started channeling massive amounts of lightning chakra through his body, covering himself in a vortex of electricity, so strong that the earth beneath his feet began to shake and crumble. Boy, do I love the feeling of this jutsu, said mentally as he zipped across the earth in a streak of lightning, destroying the ground as he went. Back with the rebel camp. Emi-sama, yelled an Umbu as he came bursting into the command tent unannounced. What is going on? Asked the concerned rebel leader. There are Umbu squads closing in on the camp, expressed the subordinate. Immediately May jumped into action. Ao, take Diavel with you and go with Formation V. Before turning to Berkuli, gather up those who are ready to fight. I am not sending out anyone who is not ready to fight, and Aki, prepare for more patients, now go. Yes, ma'am, they all said in union, all rushing out now, having their assignments. Dragon, if you have anything to do with this, then I will personally end you, thought May with a hint of malice. With Ao and Diavel. Okay, units 4 through 6 are going to reinforce the perimeter with Formation V, while 1 through 3 are going with Ao, ordered Diavel to the gathered rebel Umbu. Yes, SIR, replied all units before body flickering to their desired locations following their individual orders. Earth style. Earth wall jutsu called out the members of units 4, 5 and 6 from around the gates, completely surrounding the area with 20-foot high, 10 feet thick earth walls. After the rising of the walls, units 1 through 3 followed Ao's lead and jumped atop the walls, poised with bows and arrows. Sensory unit, I need all of you to expand the range as far as you possibly can so there are no surprise attacks, said Diavel from next to Ao, doing his own San of the Forest as said unit silently followed orders. A couple minutes later, after completing their sensory sweep of the surrounding area with an estimate of their numbers. Sir, we have completed our sweep, and by our estimate there are around 20 Umbu level ninja circling our perimeter and around 30 ninja with chakra levels ranging from Chunin to Jonin hanging back. From what we assume, they are awaiting an order or signal, a masked Umbu reported back to Diavel. Damn. Okay, tell Ao to get the archers in position now because this is not going to be easy. Yes, sir, replied back as he body flickered away to Ao. Ao, Diavel has asked that you get into position based on their formations around the perimeter, told the Umbu before they suddenly felt a spike in chakra from behind them as they heard water style. Water dragon jutsu, when a large serpent-like dragon made of water rushed towards the risen walls. Move away from the walls, yelled Ao just before a mop of blue hair streaked in front of the water dragon with his hiramakerii drawn glowing blue from the chakra emitting from it as he slashed right through technique squelch as the water fell harmlessly to the ground on each side of him splash. Then he body flickered back atop the perimeter wall. Thanks Chojuro, you saved us there, said Ao. No problem, but get it together, looks like they're regrouping, replied Chojuro as he pointed his sword towards the forest. Outside the camp's perimeter. While the rebels were covering all bases to prepare for the inevitable oncoming attack, the estimated 30 other ninja were getting impatient. What the hell is taking them so long? We should have received the signal by now, asked an impatient Chunin. Calm down, you know that if it's taking this long then they are working on plan B, then you can have your fun, alright, damn it? Exclaimed one of the few Jonin leaders, not liking the Chunin's thirst for blood as she thinks it's too over the top. WL- before he could finish his thought, earth wall sprang from the ground, trapping them, leaving only a rear entrance, and just as they all turned around to get out of this trap, a streak of blue lightning covering an individual appeared, but before they could drink in his appearance, he ran through hand signs faster than anything they had ever seen before, calling out earth style. Swamp of the underworld, changing the surface of the earth beneath the enemy into mud and creating a swamp. The adhesive, chakra-infused mud ensnared the enemy's body, making it impossible to recover one's strength and escape from the swamp. Reaching his right gloved hand out, he called out "Universal Pull," as an invisible force yanked the bloodthirsty Chunin out of the adhesive mud directly into the awaiting hand. "What are you doing here?" asked the figure in a voice that wasn't in the least bit pleased. As he opened his eyes to get a good look at him, two things jumped out at him. The first was the black dragon mask he was wearing, and the second were his weird purple eyes that seemed to burrow right through his soul. "I believe I asked you a question. It would do you well to answer me when I have spoken to you," he said to him with more vehemence this time, and for added effect he had lightning dancing from his shoulder to his wrist, as if his lightning armor was threatening to activate once again. It was Wayagura-sama. He told us to wipe out the bloodline scum," stuttered the frightened Chunin. "There, that wasn't so hard. All I need was some information," mocked the dark voice as he released him and disappeared from view, which caused the Chunin to let out a sigh of relief. Squelch the Chunin felt a pain he has never felt before. As he looked down, he saw a black blade coming out of where his heart should be. "But unfortunately you must die," as he pulled the blade from his heart, dropping him to the ground as he took his last few breaths on earth. "Nuu!" screamed a couple of the ninja who were still stuck in the swamp, who he had almost forgot about, but ran through a couple of hand seals calling out "Fire Style, Grand Fireball Technique." As expelled from his mouth was a massive orb of roaring flame. The released flames engulfed their target and leave a crater on the ground's surface. Blast! "How far will you go, Yagura?" thought Naruto as he activated his lightning armor once more, as he disappeared in a streak of lightning headed towards the rebel camp. Rebel camp. Pant 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 asterisk. "Chojuro, take it easy. Here's a chakra pill. Try to stop using so much chakra," said a worried Ao, throwing a chakra pill at Chojuro, while have taken down an umbu via chakra-infused crossbow. "Thanks. I'll try, but it needs to be done. Otherwise Yagura gets exactly what he wants." "Our deaths," shot back Chojuro as he popped the chakra pill into his mouth. "Water Style, Water Dragon Jutsu," called out three umbu, who appeared out of a body flicker, summoning three large serpent-lick dragons made entirely of water, coming at the wall to fast for anyone to react fast enough to stop the techniques. "Shit! Get away from the walls," shouted Diavel as he saw the entire thing unfold before his very eyes, knowing Chojuro didn't have the churka to stop them this time, but what he saw net shocked him, as he had never seen anything like it before. A flash of blue appeared in front of the water dragons, revealing Black Dragon as he called out "Jutsu Absorption," as a clear, almost invisible sphere encased his body, absorbing all the chakra from the techniques, causing the waster to fall harmlessly to the ground. Splash. As Ao and Chojuro looked up, they saw Black Dragon standing on the edge of the wall with his long, unruly blonde hair flowing with the wind. "Are you all right?" asked the Black Dragon of Ao and Chojuro. "I am, but Chojuro has chakra exhaustion even with the chakra pill, so I think he is done for tonight," replied back Ao, but as soon as the words he thought, "Why am I answering to him?" Turning around, Naruto did a quick scan of the forest and noticed that the attacker masked their chakra, but with his sensing abilities they can't completely hide from him, only throw him off a little. "Let's see you hide from these," thought Naruto as he activated his Rinnegan, giving him the neat ability of seeing chakra. He picked up on them immediately about 80 yards away, seemingly standing there for no reason. Not bothering to turn around, Naruto just told Ao and Chojuro, "I'll handle the rest. Take care of the injured. Oh, before I forget," here as he tossed 3 scrolls he pulled from belt and tossed over his shoulder. "Get those to Aki," he finished by completely disappearing from view. Damn, he has some serious speed. I have never seen anyone move half as fast as him, and the scary thing is I think that is only a small portion of his actual speed. "Davel, am taking Chojuro to the medical bay area. Can you handle the rest without me for a few minutes?" said Ao, snapping Diavel out of his frozen state. "Huh. Oh yeah," replied, still shocked by what he just saw. What the hell was that? Was it a force field of some kind? But it looked like it negated the attack somehow. No time to think about it. Snapping himself from his thoughts as he saw Ao juping away with Chojuro. "Okay, everyone, we are switching to defense formation B," ordered Diavel. "Yes, sir," came the approving chorus. With Naruto. Naruto was currently jumping through the trees, coming up on the umbu who were just standing around, but if Naruto had to guess, were discussing strategy. "Hey Sig, you ready?" Naruto asked mentally as he drew his sword while still on the move. "Always, young master," the sword replied back through the mental link. Good, because we're going with Sonic Blade, finished Naruto as the blade went from black to an almost glowing neon white while giving off an low-pitched screeching sound. Arriving about 150 feet away from where they were standing, with his heightened senses he could hear everything they were saying. Who the hell was that? I never heard of anyone with those abilities. I don't know, but his chakra was off the charts. I think he has more chakra than Yagura-sama. I think he took out the reserve post because I can't sense them and they wouldn't just leave their position without warning. We need to get this information back to Yagura-sama now. Oh, I'm not about to let them do that, thought Naruto as he used his newly completed jutsu, the lightning step, which he channels a precise amount of lightning chakra from the soles of his feet to his hips, increasing his speed to the equivalent of a lightning strike. Appearing in front of two of them and slashing them horizontally, separating their torso from their waist as easily as a hot knife through butter. He looked up and saw the wide eyes from remaining three Umbu from behind their masks. You won't be telling anyone anything, he spoke in a dark voice. Reacting out of fear from two opposing sides, two of them quickly ran through hand seals and blew out two large fireballs, hoping to incinerate him, but what he did next scared them even more. He reached his hand out to once again absorb the chakra from the jutsu absorption, after which he disappeared once again behind a lone Umbu and stabbed him directly through the heart, letting him fall lifelessly to the ground before dashing across the earth at high speed with the other two still. Standing in shock, without breaking stride, he turned his blade into a reverse grip, and as he passed between where the two of them were standing, he sliced through their necks with ease as their heads rolled off their shoulders and bodies went limp. That completes that, he mumbled to himself as he deactivated the sonic blade and used a small water jutsu to clean his blade of any traces of blood before resheathing it and taking off through the trees back to the rebel camp. A few minutes later, Naruto arrives back at the camp and lets them know he took care of everything. Not that they all believed him, in which he told him that they could send someone to check as the bodies were still out there. Don't worry about it, Mai-sama wants to see you, came a voice from behind everyone. When they turned around they saw it was Ao. Seeing Ao, the blonde just nodded and went to see what the busty rebel leader wanted. Lower the walls but stay on alert, and anyone who needs medical attention needs to let the medic know when they get here, ordered Ao as turned and followed the blonde. Mei's tent. You wanted to see me? Asked Naruto as walked into the tent, noticing she was alone. Yes, please have a seat, the beautiful rebel leader pointed to an empty chair. I want to thank you for today. While I was running around trying to get things prepared for that attack, you handled it single-handedly. So I thank you. She stood up and bowed deeply to the black dragon. There's no need for that. I have already told you I will not allow Yagura to continue on with this pointless war. Not that it doesn't stroke my ego to see a beautiful yet powerful leader such as yourself bow to me. I only want to help. Noticing the small blush across her face, he decided not to push his luck and stood up. If you don't mind, I would like to retire for tonight. And no problem, would you like a tent? Offered a clearly flustered Mei, who wasn't used to being the flirty but the flirter. No, I'm going to sleep out in the woods. I prefer to be closer to nature. Good night, Mai-sama. As he pulled up his mask a little to give her hand a light kiss through his face mask before leaving. Good night, Dragon-kun, replied back Mei as she held the hand that he just kissed as he waved while going through the tent flaps. 7 months later. It's been 7 months since Naruto aka Black Dragon has arrived at the Hidden Mist Village with the full intent of stopping the civil war. His arrival completely changed the tide of the war, to the point that they are back in control of the village. Those who feigned the idea of hating bloodlines are now able to openly associate with their friends again. The rebels returned to their homes and there hasn't been a problem based on discrimination in over 2 months, but the problem is that they haven't been able to find Yagura or those most loyal to him since he disappeared and they took back over the village. Mei was currently sitting behind the Mizukage's desk going over reports. Some good, some bad. Good news to her was that with them taking back over the village, they have recovered about 70% of their strength, but the bad news was that the other 30% was part of the village's elite, and they had apparently sided with Yagura when he disappeared, and knowing this, she sees the tough road ahead to recovering that strength as well as executing those who sided with Yagura. Sai, the 20-year-old, let out a sigh as she turned around in her chair to look out the window. I am definitely not about to take on this job permanently. As soon as I find a suitable replacement and kill Yagura, I am going back to Jonin, the Busta woman said to herself, referring to her status as temporary Mizukage. Why not keep the job? Besides, no one in this village can even hope to make that hat look as good as you do, came an all too familiar voice. Flattery will get you everywhere, Dragon-kun, she replied as she swung around in her chair before getting up and walking over to where he's sitting on her desk with his legs and arms crossed, adding a little more than necessary sway into her hips as she closed the distance and wrapped her arms around his neck before whispering in his ear, or should I say Naruto-kun. Over the months they had gotten extremely close. They had become extremely close, being literally the only man to treat her as a true woman and not just some piece of meat, while doing it without an ulterior motive, and to add fuel to the fire, the strength and intelligence he showed on the battlefield made him a truly powerful ally and friend. But what really pushed their friendship to new heights was about 3 months ago, when one of the lower-ranked ninja got completely smashed after a celebration of taking back control of the village and started spouting sexist comments about Mei, and how a woman could never hope to be a competent leader. Unaware she could hear every word, but before she could react, Naruto grabbed him by his throat and smashed him up against the wall and pressing a kunai up against his neck before giving him some good advice. Listen here, you little worm. You have played a very little role in taking back this village, yet you dare talk about someone who could very well be the strongest in the village after Yagura is taken down. If I were you, I would watch my mouth before it writes a check that my ass couldn't cash, because that could very well be seen as a threat on your new Mizukage. Naruto finished by dropping him to the ground as the man's eyes widened, realizing the huge mistake he had made by insulting her, and apologized profusely, but Mei brushed it off because she was more concerned with the man who had she been falling for since he arrived. Pulling herself from her thoughts, Mei lifted Naruto's dragon mask, making his hair go from black to bright blonde, and lowered his face mask, all the while moving his long sun-kissed golden hair out of the way, and attempted to kiss him, only for Naruto's fingers stop her just short of his marks. We have had this conversation before. I have a girlfriend, I simply can't allow anything more than a hug, Naruto said as she pushed him away a little and looked him right in the eye while her arms were still wrapped around his neck. Sigh. You know, sometimes you make me feel so undesirable. Mei pouted as she turned around and walked away from him, only to have him roll his one visible eye. Oh, stop before I tell Ao about your excessive flirting, teased Naruto, knowing how much of an annoyance Ao was towards Mei. Well, now there is no need for that, Mei pouted a little more. She let out an unladylike grunt as she walked away from him and went to sit behind her desk, which they were leaning on. You clearly didn't come to have any fun, so you must have come for business, Mei said as she sat back in her chair, looking Naruto into his sapphire blue eyes. Sadly, no. I came to let you know that I need to leave for a few days, said Naruto as he pushed himself off the desk and walked over to the window, watching the civilians go about their day through the misted village while he readjusted his lower face mask and placing his dragon mask back on top. Mei looked saddened at the news he just brought her, not wanting to see her blonde love leave. Something wrong, Mei? She flinched a little as he brought her out of her thoughts. No, just worrying if we run into Yagura without you, if we can handle it, she replied. You can handle it, but if you can't, just throw this and I'll be there in a flash, said Naruto as he handed her a flying thunder god kunai, enticing a smile from Mei. Now that I have solved that, why don't you tell me what's really bothering you? Pulling off his mask and placing it on his belt so she could see his eyes better, which reflected how serious he was being. What are you talking about? Stuttered Mei, from being caught off guard by the seriousness of his look as well as his voice. Mei, I know you too well, so you might as well tell me what's going on and get it off your chest, because something is clearly bothering you, shot back Naruto, letting her know he wasn't relenting, and to reinforce it he grabbed her left hand to start rubbing it with his own left thumb. Sighing to herself, she just relented. He clearly knows me too well, thought Mei as she mentally smiled to herself as she got up and motioned for Naruto to sit where she was just sitting, to which he complied as she sat atop the desk. Before I tell you, I just want to preference myself by saying I do love my village, commented Mei as she felt Naruto tilt his head in confusion. You do realize you are talking to someone who knows you better than you give him credit for, and has watched the sacrifices you have made for this village over the past 7 months on a daily basis. So don't try to convince me of something I already know, said Naruto while leaning back in the chair. Okay. Well, this problem of mine has been going on for years, since I was in the academy. In fact, I have always felt that I didn't belong here, said Mei as she avoided Naruto's eyes, scared of what they would show. What do you mean, felt like you didn't belong? Was it the people of the village who made you feel like that? asked a concerned Naruto. No, it wasn't any of the villagers, in fact only a few bigoted idiots who feel that women should just fall in line have ever made me unwelcomed, exclaimed Mei with a slight scowl on her face which confused Naruto a little. I am still lost as to why you would feel you didn't belong? Questioned Naruto. As am I, but if I had to put it into simpler terms it would be like visiting someone else's home. To them it's home, but to you it's just another house, explained Mei as she almost feel the light bulb go off in his head. I have a question for you. How strongly does this feeling of yours go? Asked Naruto of Mei. It's incredible, but for some reason whenever I am near you that feeling is all but forgotten, said Mei as she drew imaginary circles with her finger on his chest. I guess we are more alike than I thought. What do you mean? Asked Mei looking into Naruto's eyes. Naruto broke eye contact and looked up at the ceiling. Since I have left my village all those years ago in order to train, whenever I would think about my eventual return something in the back of my head would be screaming at me not to go back, said a solemn Naruto as he saw Mei mentally sympathize with him. How do you deal with the feeling that you are betraying the very people you fight to protect? Asked Mei. My case is different from yours. You have fought long and hard, and you are nearly there in terms of bringing the village back to its former glory, so I don't think you can be blamed if it's space from the village you require, replied Naruto as he ran his glove-covered right hand through his long blonde hair. What do you mean your case is different, Naruto-kun? Asked Mei, feeling a little better from Naruto's words. That's a story for another time, but maybe you need time to yourself after we find Yagura. Knock knock. Hearing the knocks at the door made Mei jump off of the desk and him out of the chair calmly stood up. Relax there, I placed my personal privacy seal on the room when I entered. Naruto used what is known as the Uzumaki style privacy dome, which is multiple times stronger than the strongest privacy seals, allowing no sounds at all to escape, even being able to disable implanted listening devices in the surrounding area. Unclipping his dragon mask from his belt, got behind Mei as she walked to the door and put his hand on the door to stop her from opening it. Remember, I am only a flick of a kunai away, which caused a small smile to appear on her face. Better go before Ao gets impatient, thought Naruto as he put his dragon mask back on, turning his hair back to black as he heard another knock at the door, so he released the privacy seal, gave Mei one last hug and disappeared in a flash of yellow light. When Mei answered the door, it was Ao standing there with a small stack of papers and a look saying he wanted to talk about something. Hello, Mei-sama. What were you doing with the door locked? Asked Ao. Turning away from him and wailing back to her desk as Ao closed the door and placed the papers on said desk after making his way across the room. I was taking a little nap after I had finished most of my paperwork, replied Mei as she started on her paperwork again. These are from the secretary. She told me to bring them to you on my way to see you, said Ao, taking a seat across the desk from the intern Mizukage. So what do you need from me? Asked Mei, not even bothering to look up from her paperwork. I was wondering if you knew where Black Dragon was. I haven't been able to find him at all today. He came by earlier to tell me he has to leave the village for a few days. What? And you just let him leave like that? Exclaimed Ao. First of all, calm down before I kill you, said Mei as she released low amounts of Ki, making Ao sit back in his chair and do exactly what she just said and calm down. Second of all, he is not a ninja of this village, so I can't keep him here against his will. Besides, he has done more than enough for the Mist Village and has earned my complete trust. I would have thought he would have earned yours as well by now, finished the auburn-haired beauty as she leaned back into her chair while awaiting Ao's response. While looking down trying to process Mei's words, he responded, I just can't bring myself to trust someone I know nothing about. Sigh, I can understand that, Ao, but try to understand the position he is in. He is not even supposed to be here, yet here he is going up against Yagura for our sakes, especially with how many times he saved your ass. The least you could do is not be so outright suspicious of every move he makes, answered Mei. Go think back on all the times you have interacted with him as well as seen him interact with others, and try to keep an objective mind and try to find any reason he has given you to be suspicious of him, and come back if find something, finished Mei as Ao got up and gave a respectful bow before leaving to think on his conversation with Mei. In the Dragon Realm, there was a curvy yet slender, dark-skinned woman of average height, with golden-colored eyes and long purple hair, which she keeps up in a ponytail. Her standard attire consists of a black, backless, sleeveless undershirt, an orange overshirt covering her D-cup breasts with 2 white straps on each shoulder, a large beige sash around her waist, and black stretch pants which clung to her perfectly sculpted ass with a pair of lightweight brown shoes, which allow for stealth. She was wearing long beige wrist and leg warmers, each secured by bands. She was holding a katana at her side, looking prepared to strike. She was standing in the middle of a small cluster of trees with her right hand hovering above her sword as she attacked with blinding speed and disappearing from view as metal on metal clashes rung throughout the area. Clang, 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 clang. Reappearing back in her original spot as kunai fell from the trees harmlessly to the ground while sheathing her sword. Clap, clap, clap. Hearing the clapping, she turned around to see Jagun the Master Dragon in human form with an amused look on his face. As deadly as always, Yoruchi, spoke Jagun as he walked towards her. Thank you, I guess, but what are you doing here? Asked a newly dubbed Yoruchi. What, I can't come watch you train? Questioned Jagun in fake shock. You can, but you usually only do so when you either want me to do something or if you have some information for me. So which is it? Spoke Yoruchi with the same emotionless voice, to which Jagun frowned at this. I miss Naruto-sama. When he is around you, so much nicer, exclaimed Jagun before being pulled out of his thoughts by Yoruchi's response. Sigh, I don't have time for time, what is it that you want? Spoke Yoruchi, clearly not up for his antics. Fine. The gears of fate have started turning once again, spoke Jagun with a completely serious attitude while waiting for Yoruchi's reaction. Surprisingly, her reaction wasn't what he expected. Jagun expected her to be happy, but she wasn't. He could feel how downcast she was about the news. Before he could ask her what was wrong, she asked a question of her own. How mad do you think he will be with us? Me, probably only mildly for withholding information from him, but I don't think he could be mad ever, especially once he finds out the truth. Jagun spoke as he leaned up against a tree. Besides, you were only following orders, and Naruto-sama isn't the type of person to hold a grudge, so he'll understand once he learns the truth. This made Yoruchi perk up a little. I truly hope so. Hidden Mist Village. On the outer edge of the Hidden Mist Village, there was a flash of yellow light that revealed a dark-clad blonde known as Black Dragon. The Uzumaki Namikaze checked his surroundings using his sensory skills to make sure he was alone, which he was before removing his Black Dragon mask to clip it to his utility belt. URG. Hey Naruto, what's the plan for today? Yawned Kurama as he woke up from inside the seal. So, lazy decided to finally wake up, retorted Naruto as he made sure the stones covering the Hiraition kunai remained in place. You try sleeping in a sewer for 8 years and see how lazy you become after returning to comfortable environment like the one you provided me with, spoke Kurama, referring to the mindscape change from a dingy sewer to the largest, most beautiful forest, the millennium-old fox, as he stretched some kinks out. I might not have slept in a sewer, but dark allies next to garbage cans are close enough, thought back Naruto as he went back to the beach and stood about 15 feet away from the incoming tides. Sorry, forgot about that. Don't worry about it. You know I don't blame you for what has happened to me. I know you don't, and that's what makes me feel so bad. Because it is my fault. And I really don't want to have this type of conversation with you. I have told you over and over again that you shouldn't feel bad, as none of what happened was your fault. Besides, if those events hadn't have happened the way they did, I might not have met my big brother, huh? Kurama and Hey. I thought I told you not to call me that, roared Kurama from inside the seal at Naruto's teasing. Ha 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 ha. Chill out, I'm only joking, laughed Naruto internally before explaining to Kurama what was going on. We're about to head to Whirlpool. Whirlpool, why are we headed there? Asked Kurama. Ever since the start of my training, I have had this undeniable pull towards Whirlpool, and it's only gotten stronger each year since, thought the blonde before rubbing the village's headband ties to his right bicep. And when Jagun gave me this headband and said that I would need this, made me think he is hiding something from me. Yeah, but didn't he say why you would need it? He did, but something just felt off. I don't think it's anything major, just something he is not willing to tell me yet, thought the teen as he slammed his hand on the ground and called out summoning jutsu as black kanji spread across the ground, and a poof of smoke cleared to reveal a royal blue four-legged dragon about twice the size of a large horse with razor-sharp teeth and claws in addition to 2 extremely large wings on its back. Naruto-sama, squealed the dragon in an unexpected female voice as she tackled Naruto to the ground, nuzzling her head into his chest. "Ha ha ha, hey Saphira. I see you missed me," giggled Naruto from the actions of the lightning dragon, even earning a small chuckle from Kurama before being allowed to get up off the ground. "Why did you summon me, Naruto-sama?" asked the dragon, still nuzzling her head into Naruto, who welcomed the gesture by rubbing the top of her head. "I need you to fly me to Whirlpool." A smile appeared on the dragon's face as she backed away and spread her massive wings. "Well, what are you waiting for? Hop on." Chuckling at the Saphira's excitement, he just silently hopped on her back. "Hold on tight, Naruto-sama, I have gotten a lot faster since the last time," spoke Saphira as she began to gallop as a horse would at high speed and flapping her wings before becoming airborne. Within a matter of seconds they were at a high enough altitude to where they could see the entire Mist Village. During the entire ordeal, Naruto could only think about how much Saphira had progressed. "Just a couple of months ago she could barely sustain flight with me on her back for more than 30 minutes. Now look at her potential rearing its ugly head," thought the Rinnegan wielder before being pulled out of his thought by the object of those very thoughts. "So Naruto-sama, how much do you think I have improved?" "You have greatly improved, Saphira, from the time before I left to this moment. I can truly say there is no comparison." This comment made Saphira happier than she had been in a long time, so much so that she sped up to the point of approaching sonic speeds. Holding on to Saphira tightly, Naruto leaned up near her ear, fighting against the passing winds. "Slow down, Saphira," yelled to make sure she heard him over the sound of the wind. After slowing down to an acceptable speed of around 100 miles per hour, Saphira apologized to her young master. "I'm sorry, Naruto-sama. I was just so happy that you approve of my improvement that I couldn't hold myself back." "Hey, I wasn't yelling at you, I was just making sure you heard me. Reina told me that during your flights you seem to tune out the rest of the world. I resent that. Besides, that's only when I want to relax, just like when you are tending to your garden or cooking." This earned a small laugh from Naruto for her initial outburst. "Calm down, I was only kidding," said the blonde as he watched the clouds pass from below. The two continued their catching up until they reached their destination, Whirlpool. Upon their arrival to Whirlpool, they decided to circle around the island so Naruto could scan the island to see if he felt any active seals, which he did. So he advised Saphira to not get too close to the island and he just use his control over gravity to descend to the island. "Saphira, I'll handle it from here. Go back and I'll summon you again later." "All right, Naruto-sama. See you later," Saphira replied back as Naruto jumped off into a free fall towards the island before she disappeared in a plume of smoke. Poof! As Naruto continued his freefall, he activated his Rinnegan and slowed his momentum until he softly landed on the ruined island. Once his feet hit the ground, he was hit with two emotions, anger and grief. The cause of this is from what he couldn't see from above the island that he is clearly seeing now, the remains of his clansmen and their attackers. Naruto's anger was spiking his Rinnegan's power and his control was slipping, causing some of the remains along with pieces of the ruble started to float in the air around Naruto. "Naruto!" screamed Kurama at Naruto, breaking him from the trance he had lost himself in. "I know how you are feeling, but don't lose control. You don't want to decimate the rest of the village, do you?" asked the nine-tailed fox of his Jinchuriki. "And no, I didn't think it could possibly be this bad, and when I think about how outnumbered they were, all because they thought my people were too strong, it pisses me off to no end. Some of these remains are of fucking children. Kurama, I don't want to succumb to revenge, but seeing this makes me want to destroy all those held responsible." "Kit, I understand. The Uzumaki were some of the only people I truly respected, not only because of their strength and skill but because of the type of people they were as a whole. The one thing they followed was family first, and it's something to be admired," explained Kurama as Naruto regained control of his Rinnegan abilities as the remains and ruble hit the ground with low-sounding thuds. "Thank you, Kurama, for stopping me from hurting my clansmen any more than they have already been." "No problem, Kit, but how about we look around a little before you destroy what's left of the island?" replied Kurama before another voice chimed in. "May I make a suggestion, young master?" "Sieg. Sure, what is it?" "The tower in the center that seems to be the only thing somewhat intact. Head there." Looking to said tower, Naruto couldn't describe it, but it felt like something was drawing him towards that very tower. Wiping that thought from his mind for now, he held up a cross-hand seal and called out, "Shadow Clone Jutsu," as 100 copies of Naruto appeared. I want all of you to gather all the remains of my clansmen and find a spot to bury them, and I also need you to burn the remains of all the rock, cloud, and mist ninja, ordered Naruto of his clones. High Boss replying back in union was the clones before going about their orders. Naruto quickly started running toward the center of the village, where the only intact building resided. Once he reached the building, he wasted no time and jumped through a broken window at the top floor. Upon entering the room, two things hit him. The first was the mess, broken glass and books thrown everywhere with moss growing all throughout the room, and the second was a large ceiling array spread across the entire room. Young master, I need you to go behind that desk and channel some of your chakra into the ceiling array on the floor, asked Sieg of his master. To his credit, he did without question because of the trust the two have formed over the years. As the chakra started pumping through the seal, it glowed a dim blue before the room shook slightly and the bookshelf across the room moved out of the was, revealing a dark passageway. After walking over to the entrance, lanterns light up, revealing a spiral staircase that seemed to travel down the entire tower. When Naruto walked through the passageway to travel down the stairs, it felt like he walked through something, but he just waved it off until he got to the bottom and walked through that passageway and felt the same feeling. Once he was at his destination, Naruto was able to confirm he was in an underground bunker underneath the island itself despite being in the dark, so he was going to activate a low-powered lightning armor to bring some light to the room, but just as he was about to do so, lights surrounding the room lit, revealing what seemed to be a vault/lab combo. A few things stood out in this room, first being the giant computer-like machine with three large circular metal pipes that seemed to be feeding into the ground. There were scrolls on bookshelves all across the room, but what really caught Naruto's attention was two giant glass tubes situated next to the computer with what seemed to some sort of weird chakra-like energy floating in the two tubes. There was a black-reddish energy, though it was dark in color. It didn't give off an evil feel to it as chakra of that nature did. The energy that felt similar yet different at the same time to his very own chakra, like pure, dense power. Young master, go over to the computer, came the voice of Sieg, breaking Naruto out of his semi-trance as he walked from his spot in front of the stairs over to the large computer. Once there, Sieg spoke up again. Take the Yuzu headband and place it in the rectangular slot in the upper right-hand corner. Doing as he was told, Naruto removed the headband from his right bicep and placed it in the slot where when he did, a light shone from underneath as the computer came to life. As the computer screen loaded its contents, what was shown on said screen shocked Naruto to his core. It was his father, Minato Namikaze, staring back at him through the screen with a smile on his face. "Hello, son." How? I thought you died," stuttered out Naruto as he stared at the screen with his one visible eye widened while trying to make sense of this impossibility. "I am a part of the true Minato Namikaze conscience loaded onto the computer's mainframe, tasked to explain some things you that we wanted to explain ourselves," explained the artificial intelligence. "What did you want to explain to me that I probably wouldn't know by now?" questioned Naruto with a raised eyebrow. "Well, for one thing would be your sword, Sieg, if I recall correctly. His true purpose." "What true purpose?" "I would like to assume that the Dragon Masters have already passed on the ancient spirits to you and Sieg while explaining what they are," asked the uploaded conscience of Minato. "No, I don't know very much. I know how to use only a portion of their power but none of their abilities, and I only what the Nine Tails has told me. He told me how incredibly powerful they were, so much so that they were capable of rivaling his own power. Outside of that, not much, because Jegun has been reluctant to tell me more. But what does that have to do with Sieg?" questioned the whiskered blonde. "I am getting to that. You see, the sage tried to create a weapon through his power over yin and yang, a weapon that he intended to be made of demonic chakra that would be on par with most of the tailed beasts in terms of raw power. That wasn't what he did. Instead, he brought forth 4 ancient sword spirits. Upon arrival, they explained that they were slated to eventually find their one true master, but due to his interference, he brought them to this dimension before his birth. And not only that, the demonic chakra broke down their general makeup, making it hard for them to remain stabilized, which would have forced them to fade from existence, but the sage provided a way to help. He used extremely powerful sealing technique combined with senjutsu and the power of his Rinnegan to seal them away until they were able to sense their master. When the sage was on his deathbed, he entrusted the spirits to his third son, who then entrusted them to his descendant clan, the Uzumaki clan. Why entrust the spirits to the Uzumaki? Simple, they were sentient beings whose powers would tempt those who came across it to harness its power, But the sage's son had the awareness to keep them sealed away, and seeing as the Uzumaki were masters in the sealing arts, he entrusted them to keep them sealed away from the world, which after he left it in his descendants' hands, and that is where Sieg comes into play. Sieg came into play a few decades ago after years of studying the energy. The clan and master dragons came up with a joint solution by creating a sword from a special metal from the dragon realm which is special in itself, then with the addition to the master's power given to the sword, in theory should have given it the ability to harmonize with the spirits, but that didn't occur as they tried to have the sword absorb the spirits, but the dragon's mana somewhat deteriorated the spirits a little. More, that is where Sieg made his presence felt and transferred his consciousness to the sword and cut the absorption process. But long story short, he explained that the sword wasn't ready for their power just yet and explained the ultimate goal was to have the spirits, Sieg and the chosen wielder souls merge. I see, that's good theory. Let an descendant merge with the energies to do some good with it, then at some point the power of the spirits pass on with him. Exactly, eventually you will completely merge with them, but it is going to take time. Now why don't you take a seat so we can finish our conversation? Spoke Minato to his son, to which he complied, situating himself in front of the supercomputer. Before I begin, I want to ask you how your life was in the Leaf before heading off to train with the Dragon Masters? Asked Minato. Honestly, that was the worst time of my life. I was beat within an inch of my life on an almost daily basis. I was starved to the point that I had to dig through the garbage for food just to survive. At the age of 3, I was left to fend for myself. But worst of all would be I was almost raped when I was 5 and would have been if not. GG, finished Naruto as he looked downcast from the memories of what happened to him in that village. When he looked back up at his father, he looked downright pissed. Well, this makes the plan so much easier. And to think that I didn't think I could hate the Leaf any more than I already did, Minato said, surprisingly calm. Okay, what's going on and what do you mean by hate the Leaf more than you already did? Questioned Naruto, confused by his words. Our hate of the Leaf stems very deep, and it's not their fake mantra of the will of fire, which is an excellent ninja way to follow, answered Minato. If that's the case, then why hate the Leaf? Asked Naruto, still confused by his father's words. Because as I just said, it is fake, an old mantra the first 3 Hokages tried to have the Leaf live up to until the civilians and a good portion of the shinobi populace decided to take control of the village from the shadows. Danzo, growled out Naruto as his father finished speaking. I am afraid so. His roots are deeper than you could imagine, Minato said. How deep exactly? He was responsible for the fall of Whirlpool, all because we refused to give up our higher-level seals, spoke an emotionless Minato as she spoke of Danzo's doings. I knew the fucker was dirty, but this is unforgivable. I am going to deliver a fate far worse than death, seethed Naruto in his mind. What was the plan you mentioned? Whirlpool's revival, stated Minato simply with a smile on his face. This got a smile from Naruto as he heard his father's answer to his question. But his answer only brought on more questions, which he was about to start firing off only for Minato to beat him to it. I can see you have a lot of questions about the plan, but before we get into the finer details, we need to tell you about Whirlpool. Whirlpool was home to clans other than the Uzumaki. A few of them you may know of as they now reside in the Leaf, the Shohoin clan, who specialize in close combat. Their speed only eclipsed by one clan. They have the ability to shapeshift. Then there was the Yuzuki clan, a clan made up of sword prodigies. The Haruno clan made up of talented medical ninja, and finally the Namikaze clan, which you know all about. Minato finished explaining. Not that this isn't informative, but what does this have to do with Whirlpool's revival? A lot. Those clans are just as much a part of Yuzushigakure as the Uzumaki were, so upon the destruction of Whirlpool, the clans made a decision to send the clan heirs of the Yuzuki, Shohoin, and Uzumaki clans to the Leaf. The Namikaze and Haruno clans were already established in the Leaf as to help them in their building. Whirlpool sent those to clans to help the Leaf after the clan wars. The Namikaze were tasked with taking care of the Yuzuki and Shohoin clan heirs, while a friend of your mother's from the Haruno clan took care of your mother until we graduated the academy, said Minato. Over time we noticed how most of the Leaf treated us, and we investigated all of the Leaf's dealings, where we then came upon a private meeting where they were discussing how they were going to turn our clans into their personalized weapons, says Minato through grit teeth. That's when the beginning of our plan began to take shape, especially after our first meeting with Rinnegan, in which he informed us of a prophecy how our child would resurrect our once great nation. Though we wouldn't be there to help you physically, the remnants of Whirlpool made sure to have things in place that would help you out in the future. Seeing the question in his eye of what they had in place, Minato answered the question before Naruto could even speak. You were going to require a hefty sum of money to pull off a project this big, so that was something put into place between the ownership of several businesses, countless S-rank missions and inheritance from our clans. Your finances is taken care of. Another thing we took care of was give you a powerful ally in your godparents Takeda Shingen and his wife Madame Shirjimi. They don't know about our plan, but they do have a few things we left in their possession. Now I am pretty sure you know that you are required to enter the CRA, being the last heir of 2 extinct clans, correct? Asked the blonde father, to which she received a nod. Something tells me I am probably not going to like this, thought Naruto to himself as his father started speaking. We set up a few fiancés, of which only one is obligated and the others we only ask you try. Minato looked on at a shocked Naruto as he tried to compose himself. Thoughts of who these women could be, but the most worrisome thought was of Anko and how he would have to explain this to her. Great, now I am going to have to explain this to Anko. Something I don't think will go well. Sai, who are these women you set me up with? Breathe out Naruto before he asked his question, accepting the situation for what it was. Besides, he figured follow their wishes after seeing all the preparation they had done for him. Well, your first fiancés comes from an old contract between the Senju and Uzumaki, which was for me to marry the male heir of their clan Nawaki, but he died during the Second Great Ninja War, so that contract fell to you and Tsunade, being the last of your respective the clans. Wait a minute. How can I marry her? Isn't Tsunade like 50? I know that is why we came up with a solution to where age wouldn't be a factor, spoke Minato as scroll and vial with a glowing blue liquid were produced from a compartment below the computer. The scroll contains an improved version of Tsunade's creation Rebirth Seal, the absolute pinnacle of medical ninjutsu. It is the ultimate regeneration technique. By releasing great volumes of chakra, the body's cell division is forcibly stimulated by proteins, reconstructing all organs and all tissues making up the human body. The technique itself did not regenerate the old cells until now. By using your potent chakra and mixing your blood with the hero's water combined with the improved seal, you can reduce her age to that of about 20 years old, explained Minato. Why would my blood be needed? Asked Naruto at the pure geniusness his parents displayed through the solution. Because Tsunade is 1/4 Uzumaki, but for some reason she never possessed the naturally high life force all Uzumaki possess, so by adding your blood it will jumpstart her Uzumaki lineage. Well, I am willing to give it a try since age is no longer a factor, spoke Naruto, as he placed the scroll on his belt and sealed the vial onto the back of his hand. Now, who are the other women you have set me up with? Next in line we have Karasuba Ikamaru, the daughter of a good friend of mine, Jin Ikamaru, heir to the Ikamaru clan as well as last surviving members of said clan. Then the next two are Sakura Haruno and Rias Uzumaki. Rias is one of the last Uzumaki and was adopted by Sakura's mother Mabuki. They are both about the same age as you, and Sakura was named the heir, while Rias is of royal blood from the Uzumaki clan, meaning she is likely to awaken any one of the known bloodlines from the Uzumaki clan. But how? I thought all of the Uzumaki perished? Naruto asked about his last living clan member. Ask Yaruchi. She will explain everything to you, Minato told him as keep the conversation moving. And the last two who we each selected based off of what we wanted them to do, I had my chosen fiancée for you travel to the Dragon Realm with Jigen's permission, Yaruchi Shihoin. I gave her the duty of showing you the love of a doting sibling once you were able to get to the Dragon Realm. So Yaruchi was in on this whole time? Asked a slightly disappointed Naruto of his parents' decision to make her withhold information. No, Yaruchi grew up knowing that she would marry you someday, but she wanted to tease you as her nature calls for, but I asked her to dot on you as a personal favor. So don't think she doesn't truly love you, because before she got sent to the Dragon Realm she took care of me as a small child, not wanting any harm to befall you, said Minato, making Naruto regret doubting Yaruchi. Now this one is all on me. Your mother didn't like the choice, but her name is Yugao Yuzuki. She is the heir to the Yuzuki clan. I picked her up on a mission after having found her on the way back from a mission. Her mother and father had been killed by hunter ninja hired by Danzo. I found out that her parents were originally from Whirlpool and took her in, and she is about 5 years older than you, said Minato, a light tone. I placed a seal on her to help with her bloodline, as well as the mission of keeping you safe from the shadows. Okay, but why didn't Ka-san like the decision you made? Because she doesn't like the fact that I asked her to watch you from the shadows and not interfere until you were ready to accept her as one of your wives. Yuga was furious as well because she wanted to be involved in your life from the moment she found out Kushina was pregnant, but I had no choice. For both your sakes, but her especially, because there is no doubt in my mind that the leaf would have killed her if they knew her identity. Minato said the last part, feeling a little down. And because of the prophecy, if you didn't experience any hardships, there was a high possibility that you wouldn't have the flair you have now, which would have caused you more heartache than you could handle later on. Don't beat yourself up over it too, San. I am glad you did that, said Naruto, making Minato look at him through the screen with wide eyes. You are. Yeah, because if I didn't, I would have been blinded to the truths of the world and probably would have been gullible enough to believe any and every bullshit lie anyone from the leaf told me. Then there is the fact that I would have been loyal to a village of controlling bigots who have done nothing but harm me and my family from day one, but because of that I have a new dream, spoke Naruto as Minato listened to his son speak. And what dream is that? His father asked. Freedom. Freedom so that I can have true friends that won't be reprimanded for simply being nice to me. Freedom to openly love someone without having to worry about someone harming them, and freedom to have a family. Minato had no words for how proud of this boy, no man that he helped produced. And that is the principle that Whirlpool will be built on: freedom. Wow, with words like that there is nothing left for me to tell you. Everything you are going to need is located in our home, which is in a cave in the Forest of Death, and also each of your fiancés have a mate seal that has not been full activated but is connected to a master mate seal that you have on your right hand. Now there is one more thing I need to tell you, as Minato looked on at the headband, noticing the chakra starting to run out. No matter if you decide to continue down your destined path, I know Whirlpool is in good hands, Minato said with terror in his eye. Or if you decide to change course, know this, lingered Minato. I love you and I are proudest father in the world for the man that my son has become, Minato said with conviction. At this point Naruto couldn't hold it in any longer and tears just started flowing from his eyes. Be happy and have lots of kids for me to watch over, Minato finished as the chakra ran out and the screen went black, making Naruto look down, trying to compose himself. I know this is difficult for you, but try and follow his wishes and go be happy. That's the best thing you could do for him, Kurama chimed in from the seal, trying to ease Naruto's pain. I know that, but why is it the one thing I want I can never have? I know you always seem to get the short end of the stick, but at least you got to meet them once and know how much they cared for you. Getting his bearings together, Naruto stood up and walked over to where Sieg had just finished absorbing the energies. Thanks, Kurama, and you are right, I was fortunate to have met them, so I am not going to wallow in pity. Naruto picked up his blade and was shocked from at how much power he felt the blade radiate as he gave a few test swings before sheathing the blade in its respective sheath. The Rinnegan wielder made his way back to the edge of the island where his clones had finished cremating the remains of the fallen residents of Whirlpool, leaving the ashes in a large bin, of which Naruto ordered 2 of his clones to release into the ocean. After doing what they were told, Naruto's clones disappeared in poofs of smoke. Activating his Rinnegan, Naruto kneeled on one knee before the ocean and laid his Whirlpool headband in front of him before speaking, "By the blood and heritage of Whirlpool, may these fallen regents finally rest knowing that you." Disclaimer: I do not own anything in this fanfiction. Currently just below the clouds, traveling at an incredible rate of speed, crossing over into the land of fire, was Naruto, sprawled out on the back of Saphira with his arms behind his head, looking up at the clouds. Naruto was in deep thought, replaying his parents' words over and over in his mind until Saphira's tail came around and hit him right in the pit of his stomach. Groan. What the hell was that for Saphira? Coughed out Naruto while he was clutching his abdomen. Harump. Saphira just huffed in annoyance before answering Naruto's question. I have been calling your name for the past 10 minutes, but you have been ignoring me since you summoned me. Now what's the matter? Sigh, I have found out how corrupt the leaf truly is. Huh, I am confused. I thought you already had dirt on like half the council. How much more corrupt could they be? Asked Saphira as she turned her head back to look at Naruto, who had now sat up facing her. A lot more. They were more or less the reason why Whirlpool, my family, is no longer here. Naruto, feeling his power slip due to his anger, took a second to compose himself before continuing. All because those bastards wanted my family to give up our secrets, and like any other clan they refused. So the Leaf decides to arm 3 nations with information of their defense security, all in an elaborate plan to wipe out the clans and strong-arm the following generations into giving them what wanted. Naruto felt his anger returning before he let out a small chuckle. He. But they underestimated the intelligence of the clans of Whirlpool and overestimated themselves, thinking their plan wouldn't get found out, and they are going to pay the ultimate price because of it. What exactly do you plan on doing in retaliation, Naruto-sama? He stared out at the sky before he answered her. That I haven't completely figured out, but the one thing I do know is that Whirlpool will be resurrected by any means necessary. Just then his attention was drawn away from their conversation due to his sensing ability. He could feel the ill intent laced in the air. Saphira, slow down a little and slowly start to descend. There is so much malice floating through the air I can almost taste it, and that doesn't sit well with me, ordered Naruto as Saphira happily followed orders, as she got the feeling that she was going to be able to see her master fight outside of a spar. After a couple of minutes of descending flight, Naruto activated his Rinnegan in order to get a view of what was going on at ground level, as they still too high to get a clear view. Naruto saw exactly what was going on. There was a large group compiled of mostly bandits and a few ninja preparing to attack traveling noblemen and their samurai guards. There had been about 40 civilian-level chakra signatures and 10 signatures ranging from High Chunin to ID Jonin. Being who he is, Naruto had already devised a plan on how he was going to spoil their party. Saphira, I want you to stay at this height while I go handle these idiots, Naruto said, as he stood up on Saphira's back and put on his black dragon mask before jumping off, headed straight for the group. These idiots didn't even have enough common sense to attack from different angles, but instead they attack in one big group. This is going to be easy, thought Naruto as he pulled out a Hiraishin kunai and created 4 seal-less shadow clones, who immediately dove through the trees in a box formation where they then landed, while the original Naruto used his control over gravity and slowed his descent towards the ground to a crawl before throwing the kunai to the ground. The clones then ran through hand seals and called out for violet flames formation, producing a large purple barrier made from pure purple flames. Some of the trees caught fire due to touching the barrier, so Naruto used water-style water bullet jutsu to put out the flames before he landed softly in front of the samurai with their katanas unsheathed, ready to attack. Whoa, calm down. I am not your enemy. I was passing through when I noticed these low-lives preparing to ambush you, said Naruto as he pointed towards the barrier. What Naruto assumed to be the head samurai stepped forward. He was dressed head to toe in silver armor. What made him stand out was the red markings on his helmet. Who are you? And how do we know you aren't planning on attacking the fire daimyo yourself? So my godfather is in the carriage. Thought I would be a while before I got the chance to speak with him. I go by the name of Black Dragon. Allow me to deal with this, then I will leave. No harm, no foul, right? Questioned the blonde, but didn't give the samurai a chance to reply, and disappeared in a yellow flash, only to reappear inside the barrier in front of the kunai, leaving the samurai and those inside the barrier dumbfounded. Naruto stood there analyzing the bandits and the few ninja among them. They all seemed so weak in comparison to what he has been facing in the civil war going on in the Hidden Mist Village. Outside of one of the ninja he had saw, they didn't look as if even count as a workout. Aoi Rokusho, a ranked missing nin from the village hidden in the leaves. The dark-haired young man picked out the missing nin among the group, who was pretty tall with green hair. He was wearing the standard uniform of the Hidden Rain Village along with their headband. I am glad to see my reputation precedes me. Aoi arrogantly praised himself from the mystery man, recognizing him. Actually, it isn't your reputation that precedes you, but the weapon you stole, the sword of the Thunder God. Its reputation is the one that proceeds, because without it I doubt you would be even a B-rank ninja, Naruto said lamely, as he and Kurama wondered why he was so high on his abilities when his everything about him in the bingo book outside of the sword of the Thunder God was average. Doesn't matter what you think, because with this raising his arm and bringing the sword of the Thunder God to life, no one can touch me. You know what? Since you think of yourself as invincible, unsheathing his guard-less black-bladed sword and pointing it towards Aoi, allow me to show you just how insignificant you are, sword and all, as pure blue lightning completely coated the blade. Heh, you think just because you channeled a little chakra into your sword you can match the sword of the Thunder God? Scoffed out Aoi at the blonde's claim. Before Naruto could reply back, 3 of Aoi's companions decided to attack Naruto from 3 different fronts. But before they could even get close, blood splattered everywhere as all three had their heads decapitated. Squelch. What I didn't even see him move was the collective thoughts of those who have actually trained, while the bandits shared a different thought: kill or be killed, though it was short-lived as they found that they couldn't move. Hey, what the hell, I can't move. Me neither. What's going on? Oh, that would be me. I placed a paralyzing seal on all of you so me, and here can have our fun uninterrupted. Naruto walking towards Aoi, who at this point was sweating bullets thinking he would be in over his head, the dragon-masked assailant walking towards him, but his arrogance kicked in. I don't care how much lightning he thinks he can produce. He can't produce enough to match up against the sword of the Thunder God, thought the former Leaf Ninja as he charged the slowly approaching Naruto with his sword overhead. Once he was in striking range, he swung the blade down with tremendous force, only to be met by Naruto's lightning-coated blade in a powerful clash that forced both of them apart due to the output electricity. Aoi charged again, wildly swinging the sword of the Thunder God, only for Naruto to gracefully dodge with bare minimal movements, only using his lightning-coated blade to deflect a few of his attacks. This pattern went on for a few minutes, and Aoi hadn't even come close to landing a hit on Naruto, and Naruto hadn't struck Aoi. Both for completely different reasons. Naruto hadn't tried to strike Aoi playing defense only, and Aoi hadn't hit Naruto simply because he couldn't. Every move he tried, Naruto had an effortless counter move, making Aoi look like an academy student. Naruto, stop playing with this weakling and end this already. This isn't even remotely entertaining, came the frustrated voice of Kurama. I agree with Kurama, young master. This fight does posses and good opportunity, Sieg voicing his opinion. What do you mean? Questioned Naruto, only mildly paying attention to his opponent. Well, with time, the assimilation of the spirits and us starting to become one, I think your body can now handle those techniques, so you can use these weakling scum as practice dummies, so to speak. Ducking under a horizontal slash before delivering a devastating jumping spinning back kick right to Aoi's face, sending him crashing 2 trees and being embedded in a third. I love that idea, but first reactivating his Rinnegan and holding his hand out, universal pull, ripping the sword of the Thunder God right out of Aoi's hand. Wouldn't want this being destroyed, as he put the hilt into his cargo pocket on his right leg. Aoi was speechless. He was being stared at by what he believed to be a story fable, the legendary Rinnegan. Impossible. It's not true. They were just stories, Aoi was mentally muttering to himself, no longer caring about the sword of the Thunder God, as he watched the lightning disappear from the black-haired man's blade and be sheathed. Holding up his right gloved hand, Naruto summoned a black flame around said hand. As the seconds go by, nature itself starts reacting to the power of this mysterious black flame. The earth starts to rumble and the skies darken with random lightning strikes. Throwing his fist toward Aoi and his companions, Naruto called out, "Dragon of the Darkness Flame." Upon release, the flames burst forth in an explosion as if having a mind of its own and thus difficult to guide once launched. After being released, the flames took the form of a giant Chinese dragon, composed entirely of black and purple flames. The dark energy then proceeds to instantly incinerate everything in its path. When the flames from the technique ended, there was nothing remaining but a crater and ash. Naruto looked on at the destruction and his smoking hand with only slightly heavy breathing. Finally, perfected. No damage to my hand and a significantly lower strain on my body and reserves. It seems that you are pleased, young master. Very much so. The samurai were flabbergasted, and the fire daimyo's eyes were about to pop out of his head looking at the destruction before him. The young man called for his clones to release the barrier, and then they disappeared in puffs of smoke. Not wanting to let this destruction stand, Naruto clasped his hands together and performed a jutsu not seen since the first Hokage with style. Nativity of a sea of trees, turning the area into a vast forest in a matter of mere moments, complete with trees and even grass growing out of the barren ground. Naruto then deactivated his Rinnegan and made his way over to the wide-eyed samurai who had been surrounding the fire daimyo's carriage. "If you don't mind, I would like a word with the fire daimyo?" The samurai were at a loss. They were too scared to deny him, yet was to protect their lord. "It's fine. I would like to speak with a young man as powerful as he is myself." The fire daimyo stepped out of the carriage. He has small, circular eyes and dark pupil. He also wears the standard daimyo headpiece. "Now, what is it that you wanted to speak to me about, young man?" "Daimyo-sama, I have information regarding lost clans. But I am not going to release said information in such a public form, said Naruto, dropping the hint at lost, which the daimyo picked up on and noticed the whirlpool headband untied around his right bicep. Fine, let's go talk in private, the daimyo suggested, leading the way towards a tree line. You can't go with him alone, daimyo-sama. And why not? He could be up to something. And what per se could that be? He could have killed me and my guards when took out those nasty men, but he didn't, the daimyo speaking sense. Besides, a few minutes of my time isn't going to hurt anybody. That shut up any other argument his guards had and lead to him and Naruto moving to a location where they couldn't be seen or heard. Doing a twice over of the area to make sure the area was secure, he looked to the daimyo, who was wondering what information this man had for him. Naruto looked the daimyo in his eye and removed his dragon umbu mask that turned his hair golden blonde and lowered his face mask, revealing his bright sapphire blue eyes and 6 whisker marks adorning his cheeks. Minato? The daimyo was at an utter loss for words. Standing before him was his best friend, who he had long since accepted his death with a few differences. Sorry, I am not my father. Naruto. Yep. But they said you died. Who said I died? The leaf umbu. They showed up after the 9-tailed incident to inform me and my wife that Minato and Kushina had died along with their child. This pissed Naruto off. Do they have to have a hand in every aspect of my life? Thought an angry Naruto about the leaf until a thought hit him. What did these umbu look like? Like normal umbu with the exception of "N" written across their masks. But what does that have to do with anything? Plenty. Those are the special forces of Danzo, who happens to have had a hand in destroying the clans of Whirlpool. That's quite a claim without any proof. Oh, I have proof, but I didn't bring this up to you, to have you do anything to the leaf, but to have your backing in a little plan of mine. Oh, and what is this plan of yours? Naruto at this point was searching the fire daimyo emotions as he answered him. I want your backing, as I may come to you later on in my quest to revive Whirlpool. Why would you need my backing? You are the inheritor of Whirlpool through your Uzumaki lineage. So through that fact alone, no one can deny you of what's rightfully yours. You are correct on that fact, but because I am also the 9-tailed fox Jinchuriki, and there are those who would do anything to keep the 9 tails as a weapon, so as to undercut their efforts before they even get the chance, I am going over everyone's head to my godfather, who just so happens to be the fire daimyo. I see your dilemma, and I haven't kept up my godfatherly duties, so what better way than helping my godson solve his problems? Laughing a little, the fire daimyo walked up to Naruto and looked him in the eyes. So what would you have me to do? As of right now, nothing. But you know what, there is something my father said. He left some things in your possession in a letter he left to me. Do you think I could get those? Of course, my boy, but I don't have them on me. They are at my palace, so come with me to come and get them. Besides, you coming back with me will put a smile on my wife's face. She hasn't been the same since she learned of your death. Remembering the state his wife was in after the news broke. She was so excited to be your godmother, and then when she heard of yours and your parents' death, it broke her. This broke Naruto's heart to hear. The fact that someone cared so much about him that it nearly mentally broke them to think that they would never get to see him. I am sorry, but right now, as I have quite a few things on my plate, but I promise to come by in the next few weeks, spoke the blonde, feeling a little bad for not being able to put a smile on his godmother's face just yet. Seeing this, Naruto's newly recognized godfather pulled him in for a fatherly hug. Don't worry about my boy. How about this? I'll keep this little tidbit from her, so when you do show up, it's you who puts that spark back in her life. Naruto responded in kind by hugging him back and agreeing to his suggestion. But I must warn you that when my wife sees you, she may just squeeze the life out of you, mentally laughing at what he knew his wife was going to do to their poor godson. I am not that breakable. You don't understand. My wife has nearly killed her cat countless times due to her habit of squeezing the life out of things when she is happy, and the happier she is, the harder she squeezes. The fire daimyo tried to explain to Naruto, which he scoffed at. I am positive that I am more durable than a cat. It's your funeral. I'll see you in a few weeks then, right? Absolutely, Naruto replied back as he watched his godfather head back towards his guarded carriage. While he did that, he pulled up his face mask and put his dragon umbu mask, Once he was in the safety of his samurai guards, Naruto snapped his fingers and jumped from tree to tree before he channeled a large amount of chakra into his legs and jumped out of the tree line, where Saphira then swooped in under him for him to land on her back. "Naruto-sama, that was amazing, you finally mastered the technique," Saphira exclaimed, excited that she got to see the young master fight. "I wouldn't say mastered, it could still use some tweaking, but enough about that, I need you to floor it. That took a little too much time." "No problem, just hang on," Saphira called out as she took off at almost the speed of sound, headed towards their destination, the village hidden in the sand. A few hours later. After a few hours of flying at unheard of speeds, Naruto arrived at their destination, the village hidden in the sand, located in the land of wind. Being surrounded by desert offers the village a natural deterrent against invasion, as few foreign powers would be willing to endure the sandstorms and water scarcity common to the sand village. The sand village itself lies in a fortified valley behind cliffs of rock, with passage in and out of the village restricted to a single cleft between two cliff faces, making the area very hard to attack from the ground. The buildings inside seem to be made of clay or stucco, which would help to keep the buildings cool. Naruto and Saphira were a few miles above the village, hovering due to Saphira's exhaustion and Naruto's plan to sneak into the village. "I know you are tired, girl. Go home and get a good rest. I'll probably be here for a few days before I summon you again," Naruto said while rubbing Saphira's back as she panted. "Okay, pant Naruto *pant Sama." Saphira then disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving Naruto to start plummeting towards the ground, but having the Rinnegan has its perks. Activating it, he used its control over gravity and slowed his descent until he harmlessly landed in a back alley. During his descent, Naruto pulled up his hood and activated his invisibility seal and his seal, which completely masks his chakra. After traveling through the alleyways for a few minutes, he saw a full-body sand cloak hanging from a clothes wire, which he took and put on so he could get a hotel room for the night without looking too suspicious, while also putting his Dragon Umbu mask away, leaving only his face mask. Finding a nice hotel called Sand Sauna, Naruto bought a suite for a few days with the money Yaruchi gave him. Yaruchi had given him a scroll containing 2,200,000 yen. I will generally round up the yen covers ions. The suite Naruto bought wasn't as nice as his room back in the Dragon Realm, but it was nice nonetheless. It was a fairly large room, nice king-size bed, beautiful furniture, and a beautiful bathroom. When Naruto had arrived to the room, the first thing he did was place security and chakra suppression seals all over the room. After securing the room, Naruto laid his sword and gear on the bed and threw his clothes in a chair in the corner, leaving him as naked as the day he was born. Naruto had a body fit for a god, a perfect six-pack. He was lean with muscles in all the right places and stood at a respectable 5 foot 9 inches. Hopping in the shower, Naruto washing his hair, trying to get the sand from the desert and the blood from his battle out of it with some shampoo. "Man, this dried blood is really hard to get out. I wish Ne-chan were here to do this for me." "Hey Naruto, what do you plan on doing about Shikaka's container?" From Range's reports, Shikaka's container's name is Gaara. "I want to meet with Range tomorrow to see everything he knows about the kid and do a little surveillance before I make my move." Having finished his shower and put on a fresh pair of boxers and walked into the room to lay down, only for an energy shockwave to blast him back slightly. When he looked up, he saw Sieg floating above the bed, glowing with stream of light attached to his own chest. "Sieg, what's going on?" "Why, young master, my body is going through a metamorphosis as I am binding myself to the spirits." The sword was at that moment encased in an orb of light, preparing to send out more shockwaves, but Naruto acted quickly and encased the sword and himself in an enhanced barrier. After a few minutes, the light died down and Naruto released the barrier around the sword and himself, revealing no major changes. Sieg had merged his and Naruto's soul into one and had taken on a few new changes. The sword had a long black blade with a silver edge too. Inscribed into the blade were the elements: wind, water, fire, and lightning. Naruto grabbed Sieg out of the air as he inspected the new changes. "Sieg, how do you feel?" "Great. My power has finally merged with the spirits. I know this power will be of great use to you, young master. Now all that is left is for your soul to be merged with them, but that will be later. Now try to get some rest, as I'll be feeding information of how to use my new abilities to you while you sleep." Naruto couldn't disagree because he just feel the power rolling off the sword in waves. Good idea. Let's get some rest. Between everything that has happened today, I am kind of tired. Naruto climbed in the bed, laying his new sword down on the other side of the bed before letting sleep take over. The next morning, 6 a.m. Having woken up from a good night's rest, Naruto wanted to go through his normal training routine but couldn't do not wanting to look too suspicious, so he opted for 1,000 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. After his small workout, he got dressed in his usual attire, black cargo pants tucked into black combat boots, his utility belt containing his weapons pouch, multiple scrolls, and his new and improved sword hanging from a short chain on his right hip, a black muscle shirt with his face mask pulled up, black leather hooded long-sleeved ankle-length coat, his arm guards and black gloves with silver-plated knuckles and plate on the back of the glove with the kanji for dragon. Naruto opted to tie his hair in a high ponytail to keep his hair from flying all about from sandstorms, also putting his dragon umbu mask on his left hip before throwing on the cloak he stole yesterday. Naruto arrived at a small cafe just a little ways away from the hotel and decided to get a table and have breakfast. Having been greeted by a hostess and shown a table, a waiter came and asked to take his order. "Good morning, sir. I'll be your waiter this morning. May I take your order?" "Yes, may I have 2 French toast, 2 eggs scrambled, for sausage and 4 bacon strips with a large orange juice." Finished ordering, Naruto handed the waiter his menu. "I'll be right back with your orange juice and your meal should be out in a few minutes." Bowing light to his customer, the waiter took his leave. "So, when are you going to find range so we deal with Shikaku?" "You're up early." As soon as I finish eating, I can sense him not too far from here." As Naruto carried on his conversation with Kurama, the waiter had brought out his meal and drink, then left him to his devices. A few minutes later, after Naruto had finished eating his breakfast, he walked up to the hostess to pay for his meal. "Sir, your total comes to 2,364 yen. Handing her 3,000 yen, "Keep the change." The blonde left the cafe. The village hidden in the Sand Ninja Academy. Having used a body flicker, Naruto appeared out in the back of the Sand Village's Ninja Academy, where he found Range, who was initially shocked that someone had found him until he realized who it was. Who, Naruto-sama? Nice to see you." To Range. Range was an white 4-legged wind dragon about the size of a large puppy with 2 large wings on his back. "What are you doing here, Naruto-sama? I thought you were supposed to be handling the situation in the Mist Village." "I was, but the situation at the moment is stalled, so I want to address the situation with Shikaku, and to do that I am going to need all the information you have on Gaara." Range and Naruto moved atop the academy under Naruto's invisibility seal to go unnoticed while Range gave him the rundown. Gaara is the 3rd and youngest child of the 4th Kazekage and Karura, also the younger brother of Temari and Kankuro. Prior to Gaara's birth, his father had Lady Chiyo seal Shikaku within him, in the hopes that he would become the ultimate weapon for Sunigakure, as he was the only one of the Kazekage's 3 children to be compatible with the beast. Gaara was born premature and was therefore an unusually small and frail infant. Before she died, Karura passionately held her son, vowing to always protect him. Gaara was trained in ninjutsu by his father, but raised mainly by his maternal uncle, Yashimaru. As a child, Gaara made many attempts to connect to the people of Sunigakure, all of whom feared him because of his connection with the sand spirit, Shikaku. Seeing him only as the monster he contained, it seemed for a time Yashimaru was the only person who truly cared at all about Gaara. When Gaara unintentionally hurt others due to the subconscious abilities granted to him by the beast, Yashimaru alone understood that Gaara hadn't intended to harm anyone. The Sunigakure Council, however, considered Gaara's frequent attacks a serious threat to the village. Disappointed in the turn of events, Gaara's father decided to test his son by having Yashimaru attack Gaara both physically and psychologically in an attempt to see if Gaara could gain control over Shikaku. Yashimaru revealed to Gaara that his mother had never loved him and tried to assassinate him, only to be fatally wounded by Gaara before the boy realized whom he had attacked. Although Gaara initially tried to consider Yashimaru's attack ordered by his father, Yashimaru lied to him and said he had willingly accepted the mission to kill Gaara. He also revealed that he had never truly loved Gaara and told him that killing him would avenge the death of his sister, who had named him Gaara after the phrase, a self-loving carnage, as a sign of her intense hatred for Suna rather than her love for Gaara. In a last-ditch effort to kill Gaara, Yashimaru detonated a number of explosive tags covering his body, asking his nephew to please die. Using his sand, Gaara managed to survive the blast, but he lost the only person he had thought cared for him, not knowing the truth behind Yashimaru's actions. Gaara then used his sand to etch the kanji for love onto the left side of his forehead. Overwhelmed, Gaara lost control and transformed into Shikaku, and rampaged around the village before his father managed to stop him using his gold dust. After the traumatic experience of losing his uncle and being told nobody had ever loved him, Gaara became an aloof and cruel person who obsessively killed people in an attempt to prove his own existence and to obtain recognition from the village. He gave up any and all desire for friendship. Seeing that Gaara was unable to cope with the loss of his mother's affection, the Kazekage deemed him a failure and arranged several assassination attempts on his son, which only made Gaara detest his father more. In time, Gaara's new ideology allowed better control over Shikaku. Appreciating this, his father cancelled all assassination orders and revived the idea of someday using Gaara as the ultimate weapon for the village. Now, in terms of Gaara's relationship with Shikaku, something is off. Shikaku deprives the child of sleep, makes him refer to him as mother, and has him convinced that he needs to kill in order to prove his existence. By the time Range had finished his report to Naruto, the academy had started. Naruto had immediately recognized Gaara. Gaara is a little shorter than the average males of his age, due to the fact that he was born prematurely. He has fair skin and short, spiky, auburn hair with a striking resemblance to his father. He also has pale blue-green eyes. Gaara has no distinctive pupils or eyebrows. He has two very notable traits in his appearance. Firstly, he has tanuki-like black eye rings, having them since his birth. Secondly, he carved the kanji love on the left side of his forehead, having it since Yashimaru's betrayal. Gaara's forelocks are parted from the left side, making the kanji more visible. He wore black full-body suit with t-shirt-like sleeves, 3/4 length legs, and an open neck. With this, he wore a white cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of his hips, and a wide leather band system over the left shoulder and right side of his hips. With this leather band, he carried around his gourd that contains his sand. Naruto had felt for Gaara, not out of pity but because he knew almost exactly what it was like to go through what Gaara went through. Behind Gaara was his two older siblings Temari and Kankuro. Kankuro wore a black, baggy, full-body suit with a red and yellow circle on the front. He also wears a black hood which covered his head completely, and had cat-like ears and his forehead protector on his forehead. His outfit is derived from traditional bunraku puppeteer costumes. Bunraku puppeteers usually wear black outfits and hoods so as not to distract from their puppets. Kankuro sports a triangular face paint design. He also wears gloves and carries his puppets on his back. With Temari, it was hard for Naruto to not notice the young teenage girl's budding assets, which were visible beneath her black kimono. She was a few years older than him, and he could see she was growing rather well. Her breasts were low C-cup, but since she was still young and yet out of puberty, she was rather impressive. Her body was lithe and toned, letting him know she took care to keep herself in shape, with a narrow waist that tapered off into flared hips and strong-looking toned thighs. She was a nice combination of strength and feminine beauty. Her teal eyes and sandy blonde hair, which is gathered into 4 consecutive ponytails, only added to her beauty. You might want to stop staring at her like that because unless you have forgotten, you still have some explaining to do to your mate Anko, was it? And I don't think adding another mate willingly will be conducive to your argument, Kurama interrupting Naruto's thoughts. Just because I appreciate the female form doesn't mean I am trying to add her as a mate. Remember, I am still very much a teenager. Kurama just snorted at Naruto and went back to listening to his and Range's conversation. How is Gaara's relationship with his siblings? Not that good. They fear him, but they love their brother very much, so they try to intervene whenever they can to try and keep him as sane as possible. Range explained to Naruto. I have enough information. I know today is the day you were supposed to check in with Reina. So go ahead and do that while I handle things here. Okay, Naruto-sama. I'll see you later. Range crawled out of Naruto's cloak and proceeded to disappear in a puff of smoke. For the next few hours, Naruto watched Gaara and his siblings as he waited for an opportunity to approach Gaara without being caught by the sand umbu. As the day came to an end, all the ninja in training went home except 3, Gaara and his siblings. Gaara was training with his sand in the training field while his siblings looked on. Hey Gaara, I am going to take Kankuro with me, so I can do some shopping for dinner tonight. We will be back in a few. Temari tried at every turn to better the 3 siblings' relationship even if she was scared of Gaara, but it was for naught as wasn't willing to meet them halfway. Naruto watched the 2 siblings leave and prepared to approach Gaara until 2 individuals wearing standard Sand Village ninja attire body flicker into the area. Seeing this, Naruto immediately knew they were up to no good after having felt their malice towards the auburn-haired teen. I'll let this play out before I step in. The sand ninja rushed towards Gaara, one of them running through hand seals calling out wind style. Air bullets. This technique shoots multiple bullets of air at the victim with intense speed. Gaara stood there unimpressed as his sand rose up to defend against the attack only to be dispersed for a split second, which was what they were aiming for, as with perfect timing the second assailant threw 2 seal tags. The tags might have been moving at incredible speeds to normal people, but in Naruto's eyes it looked as if walk alongside them, a demonic sealing tag and a conscience sealing tag. So they are trying to seal off Shikaku's influence and knock him out at the same time. When the sealing tags hit Gaara, his body glowed a faint blue before he dropped like a sack of bricks. When that occurred, the ninja pulled out short swords as they charged the down Jinchuriki. No you don't, Naruto mentally screamed as he ripped off his cloak, deactivated his invisibility seal, he unsheathed Sieg's new form and disappeared in a lightning step only to reappear in front of Gaara's downed body. Naruto raised his left hand with his index finger extended, Way of Destruction number 4, Byakurai, as a concentrated bolt of lightning shot out of his finger, piercing one of the sand ninja's heart, killing him instantly. The other ninja was still in pursuit, going for a diagonal slash with his short sword at Naruto, who casually blocked his attack with his sword in reverse grip. He then did a sweeping kick, taking the ninja off his feet. In a swift motion, Naruto was standing above him with his pointer finger directly in his face. Way of Destruction number 4, Byakurai. Another concentrated bolt of lightning shot the ninja right between the eyes, ending his life. Having dealt with the assailants, Naruto turned his attention to the unconscious Gaara, studying his momentary condition. These seals are mid-level at best, so he might be out for 2 hours at best, more than enough time to. Naruto's thoughts were cut off by 2 different voices. What the hell do you think you are doing to my brother? When Naruto turned around, he saw Gaara's siblings standing across the field looking prepared to attack. To avoid any unnecessary attention created, 2 seal-less shadow clones who body flickered behind the siblings with kunai held to their throats. I am not here to hurt your brother, the original Naruto pointing towards the 2 dead ninja. Those 2 over there were assassins probably sent here to kill Gaara. Until I killed them, that is. Temari and Kankuro looked at the 2 lifeless bodies. They had witnessed on occasion the assassination attempt on their brother's life, never having to get involved themselves, as Gaara's protective sand always killed the assailants before they ever got to close. Well, what is it that you want with Gaara? Asked Kankuro. I want to help him. I have heard of Gaara's problems with Shikaku. Let's move this to a new location, and if I harm Gaara, then you can kill me. How about that? Fine, answered Temari, who felt compelled to answer that way for a few reasons. The kunai at her neck, the fact it felt like this man was telling the truth, and if there was a possibility to help her brother, she wanted to take it. What, Temari? You can't seriously trust him? I never said I trust him. I just see an opportunity to help Gaara and plan on taking it, which made Kankuro conflicted as he too wanted to help his brother, but didn't know if he could trust blonde-haired man before him. How about this, we change locations and you watch me as I help Gaara, and if I harm Gaara in any way, then you are there to stop me, deal? The 2 siblings looked at each other, then looked at Naruto. Deal. Naruto's clones removed the kunai from their neck while the original Naruto slung Gaara over his shoulder. The clones placed a hand on Kankuro and Temari's shoulder as they all disappeared in a whirlwind body flicker. Naruto's hotel. The group of ninja arrived in Naruto's hotel room via whirlwind body flicker. Kankuro and Temari stood back near a desk in the room with the 2 shadow clones still standing behind them while Naruto had stripped Gaara of his gourd and upper body's clothing. So, how do you plan on helping Gaara? asked Temari of Naruto while he narrowed his eyes at the pitiful seal holding Shikaku. Well, I fixed this shitty seal. I mean seriously, who uses a storage seal to contain a biju? The siblings wanted to defend Lady Chiho as she was the closest thing to a seal master they had, and she tried her best to put together an adequate seal, though her best wasn't good enough. Creating 2 more seal-less shadow clones, having one go over to the desk and start preparing his ink while the other sat Gaara up in the lotus position. The original Naruto started to strip himself of some of his gear and clothes, such as his arm guards, coat, and shirt, leaving upper body bare naked. Naruto stood there looking like he had been chiseled out of marble with his perfect washboard six-pack. His whisker marks had only added to his handsome angular face, long sun-kissed blonde hair and sharp sapphire eyes. Kankuro and Temari had been watching him with completely different thoughts. I think I just came. I need a change of panties, with a blush on her face, while Kankuro, noticing his sister staring at Naruto, had one thought, pretty boy bastard. My sister has to be one of the most ice-cold women when it comes to the looks of men, and for her to have a reaction like that from her, dude has to have pussy chasing him down the street. Maybe that's why he wears that mask. Okay. You two, I'm going to enter Gaara's mindscape, so I need you to try and be as quiet as possible, as this requires my maximum concentration. Why do you need to enter his mindscape? Aren't you supposed to be fixing his seal? Asked Temari until her brother chimed in. What is a mindscape anyway? Temari just slapped her forehead at how stupid her brother was sometimes. A mindscape is a subconscious that everyone has, but is more advanced in the cases of Jinchuriki, as that is where the biju are generally held when they meet their jailer. How do you know all of that? Channeling a little chakra, Naruto's seal on his abs appeared, because I happened to be one. They were both left speechless. They didn't know how to feel, whether to be worried about their brother being killed for his biju or to reassured that a Jinchuriki wouldn't harm one of their own. Naruto saw and felt their thoughts and emotions, but decided that instead of giving them meaningless words, that actions spoke louder. Climbing in the bed, Naruto sat across from Gaara in the same lotus position as Gaara. He placed a hand on top of Gaara's head, activating his Rinnegan. Naruto dove into Gaara's mind. Gaara's mindscape. Gaara's mindscape looked like one of the smallest prisons Naruto had ever seen, not that he had been in one, but small nonetheless. Hearing some mumbling going on, Naruto walks a few yards, where he comes upon the 2 beings he needed to see, Gaara and Shikaku. The huge biju was on all fours, staring intently at Gaara, who was mumbling, "Yes, mother," repeatedly. Shikaku, step away from Gaara. Now, Naruto emphasized, with his Rinnegan blazing while leaking killer intent. Naruto may want to help Shikaku as well as Gaara, but it pissed him off to see Shikaku mentally torturing the boy as he was. Who the hell are why? Father? The sight of the Rinnegan shocked the one-tailed beast, so much so his chakra flared and he roared out in pain, roar, clothing his head. Naruto lightning stepped between Gaara and Shikaku and called out, "Almighty push," blasting Shikaku back with an invisible force a few dozen yards. "Gaara, are you okay?" Gaara stood there, hands on his head, whispering, "No. If I don't listen, he will kill me. No one loves me. I'm not worthy enough to call myself human. I am a demon," Gaara cried to himself. Shikaku has really done a number on his sanity, thought Naruto as calm him down, while the screams of Shikaku continued to scare the preteen. "Gaara, that's not true. Your brother and sister love you. Don't listen to Shikaku. You are not a demon. What would you know? All they try to do is kill me." I know because I am the same," Naruto replied back, pointing towards the seal on his stomach. Were the same? Yes, Gaara. We are the same." Naruto looked into Gaara's eyes and saw hope. Hope that someone who could understand him would finally be able to help him. Naruto placed a hand on his shoulder, getting Gaara to look him in the eye. "Gaara, you have people who love you." Gaara's eyes widened. The one time he thought he felt love, he was betrayed. "Who?" "Your brother and sister. They may fear what you contain, but they don't fear you, and they truly do love you." "But father and mother said." "Forget what those assholes said. I am going to help you with Tsukaku and you will have a family," Naruto said, surprising Gaara. The fact that someone was willing to go against the 2 most powerful beings he knew. "Why do you go so far for me? You don't even know me." Because my tailed beast has been my brother in all but blood and he wants all his brothers and sisters to be safe. We Jinchuriki may not be blood-related, but we are all family. Naruto wrapped Gaara in a hug which broke the dam as Gaara started to bawl. Sensing Shikaku gearing up behind him, he spoke to Gaara once more. Sleep, Gaara. Shikaku won't hurt you. I'll make sure of it. Hi, Nissan. With that he fell asleep in Naruto's arms. Laying Gaara down, so he could get the rest he deserved, Naruto then stood before Shikaku. Ha 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 ha. Shikaku was laughing like a maniac as his chakra fluctuated. Naruto watching this saw something weird. Shikaku had 3 different chakra signatures, his own as well as 2 foreign. Maybe that's what's driving him crazy. Well, it's my best theory right now, so let's remove those chakras and see what happens. Jumping into Shikaku's face, Naruto fire another invisible force, knocking Shikao on his back. All Might push, landing on Shikaku's chest. The Rinnegan wielder and tailed beast were eye to eye. Naruto used his Rinnegan to subdue the beast enough to where he wasn't moving. Stretching his hands out toward Shikaku, his hands emitted a faint blue while his eye glowed a deep metallic purple. Human path. Absorption soul technique, touching his hands to Shikaku before throwing them to the side, ripping what had been affecting him out of his body. When Naruto had finished, he had 2 orbs, a green and purple. The purple had felt sort of sinister while he felt a calming nature about the green one. Hey! Hey, wake up! Naruto was waving his hand and snapping his fingers, trying to get the tailed beast to wake up. Ugh! Shikaku sat up, which made Naruto jump to the side so he wouldn't fall off. As Shikaku sat up, a realization hit him. It's gone. It's finally gone, Yahoo! The tailed beast started dancing to himself, completely ignoring the fact that Naruto was still standing there. I told you my brother was crazy. You did, but I didn't think you meant retarded. Shikaku, I believe I have some questions for you, Naruto stated, bringing Shikaku out of happy dance. Father. No. How do you have father's eyes, you puny human? It's called a bloodline, but that enough about my eyes. What are these that ripped out of you? Gestured Naruto by holding up the 2 orbs. They are chakra consciences. The purple one belonged to Bunpuku, my first Jinchuriki. Shikaku spat out. And the green one belongs to Karura, the child's mother. How did they end up inside you, though? Well, Bunpuku had been locked in a prison cell for being a Jinchuriki, and it drove him crazy. So to get revenge, he decided to seal a part of himself in me to drive me crazy, therefore getting a little revenge on the sand and Karura meant for that merge with Gaara. A way to protect him even in death. Hearing the explanation, Naruto walked over to Gaara and put the orb onto his chest, where it then sunk in, and Gaara's body glowed a dim green before fading. Now your true mother is with you, Naruto. Then crushed the purple orb in his hand, destroying it. Now, since there is nothing driving you crazy anymore, will you leave Gaara alone now? Hell no. This place is worse than any prison. It alone is enough to drive me crazy. Until my suffering is over, his will continue. I can't let you do that. I can fix the seal to a point where it would be just as good as the outside world. Would that be enough to calm you down? If it is that good, then I'll leave the child alone. Okay. I'm going to release the seal. When that happens, make sure you stay contained in his body. If you don't, he will die, and if he dies, I'm coming for you, Naruto said darkly, to which Shikaku nodded vigorously as Naruto's form disappeared. Back in Naruto's hotel room. Naruto had come out of his trance only after a few minutes had passed. Getting up, he walked over to the desk and grabbed his sealing supplies before laying Gaara on his back. Naruto and a clone he had prepped began their operation. The clone ran through a few hand seals shouting Kai, which destroyed the seal on Gaara's abdomen. Then the original started drawing complex symbols with not only precision and grace but also speed. He finished his strokes in a matter of seconds and flew through hand seals for symbol seal. When he did that, the dim chakra around Gaara disappeared. There, this new seal will prevent Shikaku from having any control over Gaara and allow him peace of mind, Naruto said, walking over to where his clothes were and putting them back on, much to Temari's displeasure, though she had more things to worry about. Now you two have some work to do. Gaara was mentally scared by Shikaku. So from now on you need to show Gaara your affection for him, Naruto explained to them, but they seemed a little reluctant due to the fear Gaara had instilled in them. Listen, I can read you like an open book and see you are still scared of him, but know this: Gaara loves you too and had no choice but to do the things he did do to Shikaku, forcing him The two listen until Kankuro spoke up. How do we know the One-Tails doesn't want to kill us still? Shikaku isn't really to blame, as not only that seal would be enough to drive anyone crazy, but there were two chakra consciences sealed inside of him which really drove him off the deep end. One of them being Bunpoku. This made their eyes widen. They had heard stories of how during his imprisonment he had lost his sanity. There was also your mother Kurura's chakra. She left a part of herself with Gaara to always protect him. That's part of Gaara's defensive sand comes from, Naruto said, watching this revelation sink in. So with your mother protecting Hai, do you believe you have any reason to fear your brother, even with Shikaku still inside him? No, mother would never allow anything to happen to us, said Temari as she hesitantly reached her hand towards Gaara's head to stroke his hair. When her hand made contact, she smiled at the thought of finally being able to be a good older sister to him. This action woke Gaara up, which made Temari flinch as she didn't know what his reaction would be. Gaara sat up in bed seeing his siblings and a man who had saved his sanity standing around him. Naruto was the first to speak. How do you feel? Fine, actually more than fine. The voice is finally gone. You helped me when no one else could or would, and for that I thank you, Nisan. Temari and Kankuro were flabbergasted at the familiarity Gaara was showing someone he just met. No need for that, as I already told you, we Jinchuriki are family in all but blood, and family always help each other. Naruto finished by patting Gaara's shoulder. During their moment, the blonde noticed the guilty looks on the siblings' faces from his words, but before Naruto could say anything, Gaara addressed them. Temari-san, Kankuro, I want to apologize for how I have treated you, and I want to change that. I want us to a real family if you can forgive me for the things that I have done. Temari leapt at her brother, hugging him into her breasts, while Kankuro moved to pat his little brother on his head. That's a good thing you have done for them. I am just glad that I was able to help him before any permanent damage to his psyche was done. Now he can have what we all strive for. Finishing his mental conversation with Kurama, Naruto noticed how tired Gaara was, and that the demonic suppression seal was wearing off as his sand was starting to react over in the corner. Why don't you get Gaara home, so he can actually rest? Naruto told to Temari, who turned her head to him and nodded her head in agreement. Naruto saw that probably had a few questions for him and spoke up again. Go home and get some rest, and I'll meet you tomorrow so we can talk. Gaara got dressed and left with his siblings. When the three of them left, a plume of smoke emitted from the center of the room. When it cleared, it was revealed to be Range. Back already? Yes, and I have a message for you from Jigen-sama. He wants you to visit before you go back to the Leaf. He says you have some things to talk about. No problem. I was planning to anyway. Well, I am kind of tired. Are you going to be staying with me, Range? It was 7 a.m. and Naruto had just finished his reduced morning routine and was now meditating in his room until Kurama chimed in. How long are we going to be in this village, Naruto? Not much longer. In fact, after I meet with Gaara, we will be leaving today, which I need to be leaving for now. Naruto spoke to Kurama through their mental link, as he had all of his things from his clothes to his gear. After he double-checked, he went down to the lobby and paid for his room for his stay there, which came to 182 yen. Naruto paid in cash and left via body flicker. Arriving atop the Sand Village Academy's roof moments later, where he then spots a familiar mop of auburn hair sitting under a tree by himself. Checking the area, he makes sure that there is no one around before approaching. How are you feeling? Naruto asked the Jinchuriki, whose head wheeled around to see Naruto standing next to him with his arms crossed. Nisan. If that's what you want to call me, but I would prefer for you to call me by my name, Naruto said, smiling from underneath his face mask. Come to think of it, I didn't get your name, Gaara stated as he thought back. I'll give it to you on the condition you don't tell anyone about me outside of your siblings, and hold them to that promise as well, deal? To which Gaara nodded. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Gaara's eyes widened at the double last name. They were two of the most feared clans throughout the elemental nations. It wasn't the fact that he was from those clans. It was the fact that they were thought to both be extinct.